Golden Falcon is on pole position and has decided to put the foot to the floor and go now. The lights are about to turn green here at Virginia, and they go green now as we get this race underway. Ramsey Jimenez tucking straight in behind that of Evan Davis, down in towards the horseshoe. There you go. Ramsey Jimenez now having a look on that inside line of Evan Davis as they all go two abreast in towards turn number one for the first time. That's a car just outbreaking themselves, running onto the grass. And this could be a tricky section for Ramsey to try and make the overtake. Oh. That is one of the Corvettes, I believe, that was off there. I think it was Alan Ware that had just spun around. Colin Flynn is the driver.
Coming up towards Roller Coaster and then up towards Hogpen in the front straight. This is going to be an important one because your position here going into Hogpen will determine how you can get the rotation in Kingston Mullings, just a better exit.
As there goes Caden Parks-Miller looking for a move on Havdal as they come through the snake up into the S's under the Michelin Bridge. Bit of contact there. Havdal onto the grass, loses out to Sauber.
We have only had about 3 laps of running here. There's already been 7 yellow flags issued, yellow flag penalties issued to these drivers. Be expected for some drive-throughs to be thrown as Evan Davis is feeling the pressure now from Ramsey Jimenez, who is looking to contest in the podium spots, and he's actually going to take it, but it's going to convert through the snake here, and this is very important on the outside line. Can Jimenez get the exit, and over the curb he's going to go? What a great maneuver there.
Nicholas LaRusso, 5th place from Caden Parks-Miller, and look at this little battle here. Archie Woods trying to fend off that of Lewis Holloway side by side through the roller coaster here, Tristan.
Yeah, side by side, the roller coaster is very dangerous, and I could see that coming.
We said last week, didn't we, that Jaws music playing as Evan Davis's car approaches the back of Ramsey Jimenez down Madison Avenue. They come once again, looking to try and take that inside line down in towards roller coaster. Ramsey Jimenez going to try and fight this around the outside. No, sensibly decides to back out of that one. On the timings here, remember, if you all knew, is here's a move for Alex Altericio looking up the inside of LaRusso now in towards the horseshoe. He goes on that inside line, trying to carry the momentum around the outside as LaRusso, and does just that in towards NASCAR Bend. And now all of a sudden, Sauber has a look up the inside of Altericio, snatches the place from him. Gold with a shark tail, says Ryan Racing. The shark stanners. Evan Davis is out of this race. What has happened to Evan Davis? Is that just a blip? It seems a little bit more than a blip because he's been out for quite the time. This is a huge turn of events in this championship race. Parks-Miller will surely gain the 9 points. Herschel will come back into contention. Sauber will get a few more back. Well, indeed, I'm seeing in the chat that it was a PC crash.
Right on that rear bumper, and Altericio is going to break onto the inside line. Yeah, isn't going to be enough, though. Heading down to roller coaster, it is going to be too wide, and they start their embarkment down towards Hog's Pen, and it all looks like contact between the two of them. Nicholas Russo is still going to keep the lead here.
Archie Woods and Colin Flynn. Flynn's on a charge here. If you remember, he was off on lap 1. He's on a charge at the moment. Is Colin Flynn into the roller coaster, makes another move.
Between these drivers, it's incredibly tight between the Ford Mustang battle and then a bit of a 296 in between, and that's a little bit late coming in from Altericio, a bit desperate up on the inside line there. And once again, it's actually going to throw him into a huge disadvantage because he's going to go off into the gravel, and this has completely opened the door here.
As Henriksen has actually looked like he's getting the move done on Sauber further forward. Then they are side by side, and has Altericio has Henriksen got the move done? No, he hasn't, and that's a spinner in the background. That is Havdal, who got it a little sideways.
And now it looks like Henriksen is going to make one more attempt here. The other tribute car for the Race 4 G Sports team is now going to take the outside line again. The two are following in the same wake between each other. Altericio and Henriksen doing the same things to try and get ahead here of Sauber, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. However, he is on the inside line. You're heading into turn number 3, and he's got the best possible opportunity here, and it looks like he has finally got it. And so, unfortunately for Sauber, he's going to need to drop even more time here. This is going to be at risk here for potentially being attacked by Altericio. Larusso is also looking on the backside. A little bit of contact between the two, I believe, just as he pulls out onto the straight, and this is going to be the time there for Sauber. Unfortunately, he loses all that momentum from having to slow down, and now this is actually going to open the door for attack here from Nicholas Larusso up on the inside line here as they come up into the roller coaster section up towards Hogpen, and it looks like indeed Altericio is going to lose out 2 spots there. The final couple of corners before the end of this race. Herschel is indeed coming across the checkered flag line now to take the win. And what a win it's been for the Super Lap Golden Falcons to take the win of this race. Ramsey Jimenez is going to get his first official podium in this season, which is incredible to see. But for these two, duking it out for the final spot of the podium, and it looks like Dean Areen is going to keep the defense right on at bay.
I'm a big Lewis Hamilton fan, but at the worst of Max Verstappen, that was simply lovely. That was a pretty straightforward race. You look pretty disappointed by that answer.
Rodrigo Meets also in the background there alongside Roman Pascucci. It's going to be a close battle between, and there we go. David Toth is officially off as they head down towards the horseshoe corner here. The two WSR drivers are already feeling the pressure on the outside there from Rodrigo Meets. He's looking to see if he can make some kind of opposition and attack earlier on in this race. Rodrigo Meets also joining in on the battle there, still in the background. All of our pro drivers get through horseshoe, and the rest of your drivers behind will continuously try and jump up. Aiden Young now 3 wide, and unfortunately for Meets, he's made contact on the inside there. That has completely thrown him into the gutter works.
It has indeed, and just went 3 wide, and that's another one back around. That's Ivanov, who is around at the moment. But if you just look here, so he gets up the inside of both WSR drivers, and it's almost as if the WSR on the outside almost pinches his teammate in the middle.
Gal Valero holding 9th position, and Molly Joff is out of this race. What on earth has happened to Molly Joff? He's dropping off the timings tower, and I think this is a disconnect again, because that does not look like a blip out. He's not coming back from it, so something's happened.
As down Madison Avenue they come once again. Nicholas Laubish is just losing out a little bit to the 2 ahead, but here goes Justin Hodge, a lot braver on the brakes than that of Neshev, and makes the move there.
On potentially lapping 15th of Rodrigo Meets, down 45 seconds at the moment. And that could be quite bad for him if David Toth does get up. This is now Roman Pascucci. He does officially get ahead of Aiden Young into the horseshoe. Finally, a bit of action, and Roman Pascucci saw the gap. He took the advantage and jumped up into second. We'll move closer towards David Toth now. Aiden Young, though, is going to fight back. And, oh, that is a terrible time to blip as he goes side by side with Young. And I think, that is, okay. That's I don't think GT3s are supposed to do that to each other.
I think Pascucci's going to have to jump on Aiden Young here, because he's on the pit exit now. Wait for that pit exit marker to go, and it has. And Pascucci then has jumped Aiden Young by an absolute margin here. Was a couple of seconds off the back at him. There is Pascucci, there is Aiden.
That penalty is still not served, apparently, for Pascucci, so he needs to slow down even further. And this is going to give Young the perfect opportunity. I'm going to go side by side against Roman Pascucci. It's going to be whoever is last on the brakes between the two of them. And it looks like Aiden Young is rather going to play the safe game here. Pascucci is going to go later on the brakes.
Here comes Meetsen trying to get the past Zoe Ahmed, having a look. It's the Lions versus the Falcons, down to the inside into the roller coaster. This is brave from Rodrigo Meets, and a great little move there. Dropped away from Nicholas Laubish. These two have a little bit now, so maybe a few mistakes at the back end of the last lap. We've got Valero, who's gained on Nashev's. Pascucci's gone wide. That'll be the invitation that Young needs.
Lap 31 has officially been started there with David Toth getting across the checkered flag line, and Elon Johnson. This could potentially be contact between the two of them there. That was pushing a little bit too close to the corner exit, and there is indeed going to be contact. Somehow they keep each other still out on circuit.
So that's a good point, actually. We've not mentioned the partners, so big thank you to our partners, Roasted Record, African Automotive Association, as Roman Pascucci goes up the inside at turn number 1. Has the door been left open for Nicholas Laubish in the final 4 minutes? It starts to happen, and Laubish does get through. So Young down 2 places, and Laubish has a look on Pascucci. Bit of a contact between the two. That gives Young the move back there. Because why not? Yeah, because why not? David Toth could slow down. He's flashing the lights. The checkered is going to be taken. David Toth has slowed down a little bit. So David Toth will win here at Virginia International Raceway. What a night it has been. Championships, though, on the line. The two championship leaders both having disconnections. So we'll catch you next time on The League by Foxxtecca. Goodbye. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome back to The League by Foxxtecca. It is season finale time here at St. Petersburg in Florida. This is going to be an absolutely fantastic race for the final of what has been a fantastic Season 3. I'm Matthew Duffin, bringing you all the action with Tristan Herbst. And a new producer in the box tonight, Ahmet Ohm, is with us as Jim is currently away. Sadly missing the finale of this one. But Tristan, this could be a great end to this season. Street circuit, very tight, very twisty. This is going to provide, I reckon, probably the most drama since Interlagos.
Yeah, what a way to throw a bit of a curveball into the season finale. We've come to a track that is brand new to iRacing, which most people are not going to be very experienced with. And so this is going to be quite an interesting perspective that we get to view today. There's not even a track map for the circuit due to how brand new it is, and so there hasn't actually been one created previously for it yet. St. Petersburg is recently added to the iRacing platform, and so most of our GT3 drivers, and including this being the AM class, won't have the experience around the street circuit. So I agree with you, Matthew, an incredible curveball that has been thrown here. And this is going to be quite interesting to see how things go for today. It is unfortunately our last round and our last Wednesday morning together for a bit of time. Hopefully season 4 will kick off not too long after this. But we've got one more night of some good action. And then hopefully we can see what our drivers can do heading up to the checkered flag line.
Yeah, and this is going to be an interesting night, like you said. It's going to be a shame to see the end of Season 3, but we look forward then to Season 4 and the next season and what Foxxtecca can bring and what might change going into next season. I know myself and yourself have had a few opinions we've shared around there for next season and a few things we'd like to see change going into that. It's all about this finale right now. We're on currently the qualifying session. We are 1 minute 46 into that session at the moment, so drivers will be just getting their first set of outlaps in, making sure the tyres are in a nice window. And you could just see there on the onboard shots of Karsten Havdal how tight this circuit actually is, and you can just see as well behind that Ford Mustang, not a lot of room to have a look down the inside or outside at this St. Petersburg circuit. Now, the interesting fact as well, we're not only just at a street circuit, there is a possibility of rain in the forecast that we have seen, so that throws another spanner into the works, Tristan.
Yeah, rain at a street circuit and a street circuit that most are not going to be familiar with. We are in for quite an action-packed race here for today. For all of you who are used to frequent appearances in our virtual grandstand, welcome back in. It's good to have you all here for the final time in season number 3. One last push to spectate and watch over your incredible people that you support here in the AMs and the pros. And I'm seeing Matthew slapping his head. Have you forgotten something?
I've just seen we need to see Tanner's livery, apparently. Darmet, if we can see Tanner Kneebone's livery. Tristan mentioned it last week, but he was away.
We need to. we need to finally.
Tanner Kneebone's livery. There it is. Look at that beautiful Welsh dragon on the side of that car.
Wait, no. Ahmed, please go to a drone cam right above the car. If you can do that, please.
It says Yamaha Heed on the bonnet as well, and then there we go. Who's that on the bonnet of the car? I wonder. Lovely looking Welsh livery.
On the roof?
And then he's ruined it by putting pictures of me on the roof and on the rear. That's my look. There's my face on the little winglet at the end. Tanner Kneebone has had a field day getting my images from Facebook. There I am, commentated in Switzerland. I believe, Ahmet, if we could go just under the rear wing, I think there's a couple more. I think he's got one of me sleeping in a Discord chat with him. There we are, look, shirt off, fell asleep on the picture the other side. Tanner's gone all out, and do you know what? Livery of the season, because I'm on it. There we go. Tanner, what have you done? There we go, livery of the season. So Tanner, we've shown the livery, and unless you're having a good race, we're not going to look at it again, unless it's from that view, because that Welsh dragon on the side looks absolutely majestic. Lap time's coming in now. Andrew Herschel, 1 minute 12.7. in this race at the moment. There is Andrew Herschel in the Golden Falcon Superlap phase car there. Then really close qualifying at the moment. Look at them lap times and how close they are to each other.
Man, that was worth every second of the wait. What a great livery. Tanner Kneebone, I give you a high five all the way across the world. Incredible job there. I believe Evan Davis might have modified the Jaws livery slightly from our previous chats in round number 7. If we can have a look at Evan Davis currently sitting in second. I don't know if he did change things up on the Shark. No, it looks like they've kept it the same. It's still got the nice Jaws teeth up in front, and doesn't look like there's much change. I think I mentioned to him I wanted to see some fins. I wanted to see some of that rough shark skin. Can we see the rear of Evan's car now? He's still on track. Yes. Okay, so now we can finally look at the rear. Yes, and we've got the professional drone flyer over Met Ohm who knows how to manage the drones here in iRacing. So we're going to get a beautiful close-up of the rear side of Evan Davis's car here. I taste blood up in front. There we go. What a sick little sticker to have on the backside of the car. And that is incredibly difficult to see on normal cameras. Oh, and he actually just gets rear-ended from Caden Parks-Miller. So clearly the blood has been smelt and it's been smacked. But there we finally get to see it. Ryan Racing, I hope you're finally satisfied. We got a nice close-up of what the rear side of that car says. And let's hope it can push him into that P1 spot of qualifying. He is in contention here to try and take the win.
Speaking of Evan Davis and Caden Parks-Miller, I think we should check the championship standings, don't you, Tristan? Because it turned on its head last week. If you missed out of Virginia International Raceway, Evan Davis actually got disconnected and couldn't get back in to the lobby. So it's Caden Parks-Miller who leads the way and is 22 points clear of Andrew Herschel, your race winner from last week, with Evan Davis 37 behind. So work to do for Evan Davis. Andre Sauber's P4 could mathematically win it. Not really realistically going to happen, to be honest with you. He's 74 behind. Ramsey Jimenez cannot. He's P5. Vigard Henriksen, Kristen Havdal, Declan Dienarine, Alex Altericio, Dan Gorbatenko, Troy Anderson, and you can see the rest of the drivers as Metal scroll through that list for us. But it's been a really interesting championship, and we had obviously that disconnection of Evan Davis last week that really turned this AM championship on its head a little bit.
Yeah, no, VIR was quite a spectacle to see. We had a couple of ups and downs that really did change what we're seeing now on our screens with that championship standings. For most of you who might have skipped over VIR, you were possibly expecting to see a bit of a battle up in front with Caden Parks-Miller and the likes of Evan Davis, but both of their races did not go according to plan last week. And Andrew Herschel,
just in the
seems like
he's
I saw there. He's I think everyone is quite frankly struggling just with the spacing here around the circuit. In qualifying, everyone's looking for that space out on the track to, potentially get the fastest lap times, but with such a narrow circuit, some are just finding it a bit difficult to go side by side here. In any case, though, like we were saying, I think last week just completely threw things into the works. And so, both Caden Parks-Miller and Evan Davis not getting the race they wanted. Andrew Herschel was an unstoppable machine last week at VIR. Clearly had his practice tuned in to the absolute fine tunes. And he did not miss a single beat last week. So it looks like this week he's back up on top of the qualifying ladder. So Herschel is a dangerous threat to the podium coming into the final round.
Yeah, and Parks-Miller's down in 5th. That of Evan Davis is down in... I can't still currently see Evan Davis. He's currently 11th place. Missed him there. He's in the pit lane. Man on a bit of form. Back-to-back podiums. Ramsey Jimenez down in 12th place. Sauber's running P6. So out the top 5 in the championship. They're all running pretty well at the moment. 30-car grid as well, by the way. So great to see 30 cars in the AMS here. Still fighting strong this afternoon. It's been, like we said, a great season to see. And I think we're in for an epic championship fight here. Davis he's really got to get his elbows out. He's got to be aggressive. He's got to win the race and hope that his rivals finish well down the pecking order. Almost the same for Herschel. He's almost got to get his elbows out a little bit. 22 points is a big haul of points to claw back. Parks-Miller's just got to stay as close to them two as he possibly can, hasn't he, really? And that's what he's got to do tonight. All three of them will know their plans and what they've got to do. But on such a tight, twisty circuit, with that threat of rain around, it's just going to provide something a little bit more interesting. It's not going to be that easy in terms of it being just your regular sort of circuit.
Yeah, and the other thing as well is that this is a Format A with the closing round of the season. So it's a straight 1 hour race all the way from start to finish that the drivers have got to keep their heads down here. There's no kind of break from the street circuit. And what we're seeing from qualifying already is that it is a pretty technical circuit that we're currently seeing. There's not too much delta that we know so far of the circuit other than what we've already been seeing so far and what we can see on the track map. So no, turn 1 is going to be a hard 90-degree right-hander. This is where it begins, the incredibly tight part of the street circuit. Goes into turn 2 and turn 3, all no-name corners. Turn 2 to turn 3, a bit of a snaker as well. Turn 3 to turn 4 is called First Street. That is your first straight of St. Petersburg. Turn 4, 5, 6, and 7 is one large left-hand hook chicane that takes you through to turn 8 and turn 9, both 90-degree right-hander corners. And then from turn 9 to 10, 10, and 11, that's Bayshore Drive, your second straight of the St. Petersburg circuit. From turn 11 to turn 12, you've got the Dan Weldon Drive, which is your third straight of the circuit. 12 and 13, a small little chicane, and then turn 14, a parabolic style corner with a large 180-degree U that takes you from turn 14 back to turn 1 for your closing main straight here at the circuit. So a 14-corner circuit, very, very technical, very short straights. And so drivers really have to be careful with how they tackle every single corner here, because one mistake, like we've already seen there with Evan Davis, just one slight knock against the wall here can completely lose you the car on the rear end.
It can indeed, and we see the IndyCars, we see GT America. You see some great racing at this circuit. At pretty much the beginning of the year as well, around the St. Petersburg circuit. So it's a brilliant track to come watch a bit of motor racing, I believe. Is it an old airport as well, or an old airfield? I believe this part of the this track is. So, yeah, going to be an interesting one to see what the racing happens. Havdal is currently on pole by 700, almost 800ths of a second, as Berry moves up into 11th place. This is Havdal we're riding with at the moment, coming through the final corner, down onto the start-finish straight. And pretty close qualifying. The second cover in the top 18 as Herschel goes back to the top of the timing screens. Deanna Reen moves up into second place, coming to get their final few laps. And if you are new to the league by Foxxtecca, qualifying ends on the 15-minute mark. So drivers won't be able to finish their laps they're currently on. It will just finish on 15 minutes. Andre Saber moves out of Caden Parks-Miller into 6th place, as well as Woods now moves up into P7. So Archie Woods, good lap from him there, moving up the order a little bit. And last week, where we saw the Fords in the AM class maybe not have that dominance they've had all season, we're seeing the Ford Mustangs back to the sharp end of the grid here at this track.
This might be something that Nicole Woods in the virtual grandstand could let me know about, but I don't remember seeing Archie Woods in a Super Lap livery. Most of the season, I've seen him in that white and minimal red basic Ford Mustang livery, basically driving for himself. So I'm not too sure if maybe Woods has signed up with Super Lap coming towards the end of the season. Maybe I missed it last race, or maybe I'm just being a complete idiot and he's been racing the entire time under Super Lap. Someone can just let me know that in the virtual grandstand. But either way, looking like he is absolutely rocking the colors there for the Super Lap Phase team, and seeing what he can do to better his qualifying time. But what a great time already into 7th.
Just seen from a friend of mine in the chat that says the main straight is still an active airstrip. Roman Grosjean landed his piloted plane here for the IndyCar race in 2023, or IMSA race in 2023, not sure which. So the start-finish straight is still actually an active airstrip. So there we go then. So only for smaller planes, they're saying. Best of luck, says Kristen in the chat. So an interesting one, active airstrip still. So that main straight will be quite bumpy then, I'd imagine, going down there. Not the smoothest of pieces of tarmac you can see on maybe the airstrip itself actually might be, so it might not be too bad. Through the street, so here of St. Petersburg, the drivers go. Flynn into the pits. Parks-Miller moves back up into 7th place. And Ramsey Jimenez just jumps up into 9th. So gains 4 places there. Half a second separating the top 10. That is incredibly tight.
Yeah, incredibly tight qualifying coming in here. And like we mentioned, there's a hard cap cut coming in here at 15 minutes. So as soon as it hits, unfortunately, the drivers will be pulled back to the pit lane. It seems like I have gotten a bit of clarification there on Woods. So he has been in the Super Lap team the entire time. He's just been missing the livery. So yeah, he's an existing Team Thayes member also. So he's been in it the entire time, just been not had the livery. So now he's officially rocking it, making sure he's rocking the style points for the final time here in season number 3. But he's been racking up the points nonetheless under the team flag so far for the season. Even though it's not a team championship, it does not matter. He's still showing his true colors of the golden falcon on the left-hand side of the car, and seeing if he can maybe improve just a bit further on that qualifying time. Currently still down in 10th, and he has gotten quite a bit of a jump from where he was previously, but he's just still on one more hot lap here, seeing if he can improve it for maybe 1 or 2 more positions here. We also need to look out for what on earth is going on with Evan Davis. He's in the pit lane though, and it does not look like he will be starting at the top of the barracks.
P5, and there's a couple of drivers that if they can finish their current lap that they're on, might even move up the order a little bit more. Yeah, just reading as well that Archie's been there since day 1, but has had livery upload issues. It was great to see another Golden Falcon on the track this season. With Chris not being here, we've not really called them the Golden Pigeons or anything too much this season, have we? We've been very professional about their livery this season. But yeah, good evening to see Landon Batson. That'll probably be Mum or Dad on the account there. Pumped to watch everyone compete one final time. It's in the rain. This is going to be nuts. That's the biggest question at the moment. I don't know if I can bring up the forecast at this minute in time of what the track currently is. We know it's dry. We'll just get the run through of qualifying order first few. But that chance of rain is really going to bring it interesting. There you go. Look, 27 ambient, 41 track. So it's a warm track out there. So tyres are going to be crucial, especially when it comes around to them pit stops that we see. But the qualifying order coming in now, Andrew Herschel, for the final time this season, takes pole position and starts where he needs to for this championship. He's alongside Declan Denarin with Carsten Havdal P3. Alex Altericio lines up in fourth with Evan Davis alongside Andre Sauber. Peter May alongside your current championship leader, Caden Parks-Miller. Is that enough for Parks-Miller to win this championship, or has he got to make some moves in this one? Ramsey Jimenez lines up ninth from Archie Woods, with Kamari Odom lining up alongside Dan Gorbatenko.
Yeah, 13th onwards, it's Nicholas Larusso for the Dio Racing team, wanting to see if he can maybe get a bit closer to Declan up in the top. Caden Coolidge will line up in 14th, following by Casey Berry and Colin Flynn, also been a strong contender in the Corvette this season. Kingston Mullings just a bit further behind in 17th for the Foxxtecca team, and Drew Metcalf for Grip Racing down 18th. Lewis Holloway will line up alongside Jimmy Carroll for the 10th row in this race, down for the Driver Trainer Motorsports team, and Tristan Vincent just behind them for the Clutches Night crew, alongside Shelton Lewis, Bowie Soon just behind them, and Tannen Ebone rounds off your top 24.
In 25th place, Samuel Patty will be alongside Ken Majori. Uvin Sandirigama is P27 from Anton Schopler, and then Landon Batson lining up alongside Aidan Santiago Lopez to round out your 30-car field.
Yeah, big 30-car field for tonight. A couple of your drivers who might have wanted to be here will not be allowed to race if they did not participate in the final in the last 3 rounds, so from round 4 up to round 7, and that's purely just in order to protect the current championship that is in progress, which makes total sense in my personal opinion. I quite like that structure that, you can't have a random person coming in who hasn't raced the entire season, and then all of a sudden at the final round, where points are going to be most critical, could possibly mess something up, maybe not even on purpose, but could spin or possibly just lose the car in a bad position that could ruin other people's races. This is the final season, and the final round of season number 3, and so this is going to be all to play for, especially with the top 3 being just within 25 points of each other. It's all to play for coming into this final one. And as we head through the parabolic style of turn 14 up to turn number 1, onto the airstrip we will go. It's going to be how Herschel will keep the lead here against Denarin.
Indeed it is. Andrew Herschel takes control of the pack as the safety car pulls into the pit lane. We await the green lights. Herschel's already put the foot to the floor, and it is green and go for the final time in the AM category. Tannen Ebone has already got a drive-through penalty, possibly for a false start there, as they filter into the tight turn 1.
Ooh.
There's the inevitable contact that we've possibly been waiting for. And Evan Davis, championship possibly over. He's around and has been hit a couple of times with bad damage here. So Evan Davis, championship possibly done for him. Ramsey Jimenez has gone from 9th to 3rd place already at the start of this race. So Ramsey Jimenez is on a flyer. Denarin attacking that of Andrew Herschel now in towards the end of the first sector at this tight circuit of St. Petersburg. But what a chaotic start, and one drive through for Tannen Ebone.
Yeah, that is an unfortunate start there. Unfortunately, Omet is going to have her hands filled trying to find all the replays of what on earth has just happened, because our championship contender, one of the 3, has completely lost his chances here in this race. And what on earth is Jimenez? Does he have like some kind of podium magnet? Because this is the 3rd round in a row. He's gotten himself into the podium into like the first couple of laps. Here's you're on board with Evan Davis. He's holding the inside line coming up to turn number 1. Where was he clipped now? That's Havdal on the outside line. And it's self-inflicted. Fully self-inflicted on the inside. That's Kamari Odom going past, and unfortunately, he's just left in the middle. So completely on his own, loses the car, and then just gets tapped repeatedly by everyone trying to navigate around him. Those drivers who tapped into him also got severe damage on the front and rear of their cars. So what on earth kind of change-up we've just unfortunately seen there for Evan Davis. He's thrown away the championship with one bad spin, and I don't think it's recoverable at this stage, Matthew.
I don't think it is neither. This is Patty. Look at the damage on the front of that all-green Aston Martin there, missing its entire front end. Tannen Ebone is into the pits, so it might even be a stop-go penalty because he's not coming out yet. Kamari Odom in for his stop as well. Landon Batson up into 21st position, so what a start for Landon Batson there. We've lost about 5 or 6 drivers from this grid at the moment, and this is Samuel Pat, who's got to try and hang on in there over that of Uvin Sandirigama and Landon Batson right on the rear of the back of them two. This is Lewis Holloway though, 4P11 with Vincent all over the back of him at this moment in time. The BMW just brushing the wall a little bit there as he come through the right-hander. And them curbs pretty raised as well. You're not going to want to attack the curbs too hard here because that will bounce you off into the wall at the side. But Lewis Holloway coming through now towards the final corner, looking pretty racy at the moment for this of Caden Parks Miller. He's on the back of Gorbatenko and that of Kingston Mullins, of Altericio just ahead. But has got to make some moves. Currently sat in P7 for your current championship leader. Is it going to be enough? Dienarine, though, is hassling the back of Andrew Herschel out front. And them two have checked out ahead of Ramsey Jimenez. They're 3.8 seconds clear. And this train that we're on board with at the moment is all kind of stuck behind Ramsey Jimenez. But all Ramsey's got to do is put the car exactly where he needs to, because it seems to be one of them circuits that's easier to defend from than to overtake on.
Yeah, very, very easy to keep the drivers behind you compared to getting the launches on the rest of the cars. And that's why that first lap was so critical for getting overtakes on those cars that had a couple of errors. Archie Woods, also a huge climb from the backside in 10th position all the way up into 4th as well. Might be his best finish in the season so far if he's able to keep that. Unfortunately, though, Matthew, for Caden Parks Miller, we do have Mr. Consistency sitting up at the top spot of the circuit. We saw what Andrew Herschel did at VIR the previous week. He's now up into P1. Himself and Dienarine have kept away from Jimenez already lap 4 into this race. So all Herschel needs to do now is hold on until the end of this race like he did in VR. And unfortunately, that's going to be an easy grasp for the championship.
Well, I've just kind of worked out the points as well, Tristan. Now, for Caden Parks Miller, this wouldn't be his drop round. And his drop round is 28 points. So he's not had a great round somewhere. That was at Mo Sport. As Dienarine looking to the outside line, tries to turn in, almost clips the tyre wall. As Herschel defended the inside, keeps hold of it for now, does Herschel. But Declan Dienarine getting a little bit closer, getting a little bit more aggressive on that overtake, wants to win another race, hasn't won since Mosport, wants to climb up the championship order at the end of this one as well, as Ramsey Jimenez has broken away from this train a little bit, and it's Woods as Parks Miller clatters the wall on the exit of the corner. It's now Archie Woods that's the cork in the bottle, if you will, at this moment in time. But championship standings as it stands, Andrew Herschel will end up on 601 points. Caden Parks Miller will end up on 591, so he needs to make overtakes in this race.
Yeah, well, he's got contention at the moment from Kingston Mullings and get Dan Gorbatenko. That's who he's not able to get past at the moment, and Mullings is putting pressure on the backside here, so making it very difficult for Parks Miller to try and get any kind of gain in this race. He doesn't need to finish. I don't think he needs to finish in 2nd or 3rd here. Even if he finishes in 4th, I think you'll have enough points here to overthrow Herschel, and we can maybe do the calculation to see where he needs to finish minimum in order to overthrow Herschel up at the top, no matter how hard Herschel tries. Yeah, it is 4th indeed that he needs to hold on to. That is the minimum position. He doesn't even need to get into the podium. It is just 3 positions that Parks Miller needs. Even if Herschel remains, and there's a bit of a clip almost coming in from Parks Miller on Gorbatenko. I'm surprised both did not go around, but Parks Miller just needs 3 spots. Even if Herschel keeps P1, it means he will have just enough points, okay, besides any potential penalties throughout the race. That's all he needs to take the win here in the championship. But it's going to be a tough battle. Gorbatenko, Altericio, and Woods are up ahead that he needs to get past.
And he's got Kingston Mullings right on the rear of him and almost out of Jimmy Carroll as well. I'm just reading in the virtual grandstand, Langley was saying that somebody ran off the track before the start. Tanner ended up passing them and got a stop-go penalty. So that's what the stop-go was for Tanner Nebo. Ramsey Jimenez has broken away from this pack. Archie Woods is now that cork in the bottle of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars because of the fact that Jimmy Carroll is now on the back of this train. You can see LaRusso further down the field as here goes at of Gorbatenko. Just having a little look on the inside there of Altericio. Couldn't make the move stick at this moment in time. Woods driving absolutely beautifully. And this is almost... Where is Altericio? Bounces off the inside wall onto the outside. And that is Gorbatenko who's going to gain another place. Can Parks Miller follow him through? Looking on from the rear view camera inside the cockpit of the car. Caden Parks Miller trying everything he absolutely can to make the move. Gets a switch back up the inside through the right-hander. Parks Miller as Herschel clips the wall again. Does get through and moves into 6th position in this race. So Caden Parks Miller moving forward once more.
Yeah, big mistake there from Altericio. He's just sold off 2 spots. And Kingston Mullings from behind is also looking to take it right up on the inside line there. Great move from Kingston Mullings. And he's got his dad in the virtual grandstand cheering him on and telling him to keep patient and keep it clean. And not only has he kept it clean, he's made what a great overtake to move up into 7th position. Altericio loses another. So down to 9th now. Jimmy Carroll gets past. So that bump has severely affected him. And he's dropped all the way. A big thing, though, is that rain is coming. Rain is on the way here in the circuit. We will slowly start to see the droplets begin to form. It is officially overcast racing. You can see that the clouds have started to form over the circuit here of St. Petersburg. When it begins to drop, and if it begins to drop, things are going to become chaotic. This championship is completely under the water at the moment. We have no idea who's going to submerge, and we can only wait until those final 5 minutes to make any kind of clear judgment.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what happens here. And this could make it interesting, depending on the downpour that we get. Would drivers possibly have to two-stop in this race? We know that pit window opens between the 25 to 35 minute mark of this race. Drivers can go roughly around 35 minutes on the tank fuel. I believe it's capped at 65 litres. So we've got a replay incoming now. This is running down on Ken Majori. Just got onto the curb and spins the Corvette around there.
Livery.
Hopefully he stays. It is a nice livery. No, that's not what you want to do. And just careful. Yeah, Ken Majori was up 4 places for the Clutches Night Crew and is dropped down. Really nice Clutches Night Crew livery that they have up their game from last season. It was nice last season. They're even nicer now. But he's into the pits. Tanner Kneebone is the lead car that is a lap down. So that has put Ken Majori behind him. Now, I'm wondering if we have a weather radar that we could possibly see. I know iRacing added one when no, that's a no. I'm going to assume from our Met there, who was shaking the head of the driver in the car, just making him a little bit more dizzy for Caden Parks-Miller to try and negotiate this twisty circuit as we come through towards the middle sector once again. Driving. Look how tight this track is. It's absolutely incredible here at St. Petersburg. Herschel seems to have weathered the storm a little bit for the time being of that of Declan Deonarini. He's just opened the gap up a little bit and has started to just get into a nice, comfortable rhythm. Now, I was going to say, Tristan, as well, yes, there's no team games here. With Archie Woods being a super lap driver, kind of can help out that of Andrew Herschel just a little bit by trying to hold up Caden Parks-Miller from getting that 4th position in this one.
Yeah, there are definitely some team antics that are allowed to be played here. There's multiple teams participating in the solo championship here. They don't get any kind of team constructor points together, but they can definitely work together in not too much of an abusive way in order to, benefit one or the other. And so definitely can be played here by Archie Woods to keep Herschel up at the top spots there. If Parks-Miller physically cannot get past Archie Woods for the entire race, it means he effectively loses the championship. Man, I think we've got to stop talking about people when they're on the camera, because we're talking about Altericio. He bangs the wall. We're talking about Woods. He absolutely scratches the back left of that Mustang. Fortunately for him, it wasn't on a straight, and so he hasn't lost much speed here, and Gorbatenko hasn't gained too much there from that knock, but he is going to feel it slightly based on aerodynamic damage. So let's hope Woods can still keep this charge up in 4th position. Jimenez has completely gapped him at the time being. It's 5.5 seconds between 3rd and 4th, and unfortunately Jimenez not catching up to Declan Deonarini. So it's a bit of a no man's land for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. They're all kind of spaced out for the time being, but all eyes are on Parks-Miller as he almost runs right into the diffuser of that M4. Just misses out thanks to the iRacing net code. Now he goes again trying to get past Gorbatenko.
Yeah, he tries it once again to get past Gorbatenko down in towards turn number 1. He's a bit too far back to make a move at the moment. Gorbatenko, though, slow into turn 1, and Parks-Miller once again almost into the rear of that M4. So he's really trying to get the moves done, but Gorbatenko just catching him out ever so slightly mid-corner here, and this has put Kingston Mullings onto the rear. Karsten Havdal has got past Tanner Kneebone for 22nd and 23rd. LaRusso has picked himself up a slowdown. Not quite sure where you can get a slowdown on this circuit. So now has Landon Batson. But either way, Caden Parks-Miller is getting racy in this one so far. Really trying to put the moves on because he knows he's got to get P4 at a minimum. He probably would have done the calculations. His team possibly would have done the calculations pre-race, knowing where he needs to finish if Herschel is in these spots. So, yeah, for Parks Miller just got to be a little bit more careful under the braking here. Herschel now has a second between himself and Declan Denerin. That is going to help Herschel massively because he's now not feeling that pressure from behind. He's now just going to be able to sit in a nice, comfortable gap to Denerin. He's got a nice rhythm going, and he's in a good flow at the moment in this race. Andre Sauber has got past Schoppler. Then Schoppler moves down another position, and Tristan Vincent has moved down a place. In fact, they're battling with Sauber. They've just gone backwards and forwards a little bit. This is Sauber in that yellow and black Mercedes. Sorry, in the purple and black BMW. The Mercedes at the Ford Mustang. No, we're on board with Schoppler there. It's the Ford Mustang of Sauber who was ahead. This is Lewis. I'm lost at the moment. No, it's Vincent that Sauber's attacking. Apologies, all over the place at the moment. But Sauber does move up yet another place into 12th position there. Apologies.
Yeah, good move there from Sauber. So we did get a little bit of information from somebody who potentially is in the session at the moment and can see the weather radar. If this information from them is true, there's not too much to worry about for the time being. 12% rain in 43 minutes time. That comment was given about 3 or so minutes ago, which means that rain is only going to step in literally within the last 5 to 10 minutes here in this race. So, and it's also only 12%. It might not even touch this part of Florida. It might be on surrounding areas around the circuit. So it might not be something we have to consider here. It's just going to have to be something we watch for as we get to the end of the race. But for the time being, the drivers just need to keep their heads down and focus up for this mid-pack duration of the race. We're only 13 minutes in here. There's still lots and lots of time to play for in this event. So drivers need to make sure that they get themselves into gear and make sure that they set those lap times they need. Parks Miller is into 6th position, chasing down on Gorbatenko, and then Woods just up ahead. He needs both these positions to get the championship lead, but it's going to be a difficult one. He's already struggled to get past Gorbatenko, and as you can see, he has not been able to do that yet. And then, like we said, Woods is a teammate to Herschel, and so he's going to play absolute defense, maybe to keep him behind in order for the team game to keep Herschel up in P1. That is all going to be what is to play for in this race. But 14 minutes in, Parks Miller still was chasing up. Kingston Mullings is up 10 positions behind him. Jimmy Carroll up 12. It's the overtake on the inside, but there's no space, and there's just banging on the inside there from Parks Miller. Gorbatenko bounces off the outside wall, and I think both of these cars are going to be carrying a minimal amount of damage, though, because of that situation.
Yeah, I agree there. Parks Miller just looked for a gap that wasn't quite there, was it, in the just run into the side of that of Gorbatenko, and that could have been a result as well of maybe bouncing off of one of them curbs that are quite raised as Lewis Holloway's tumbled down the standings a few places. Landon Batson is now into the pit, so what a shame for him because he was running well inside the top 20, but Parks Miller here has to try and find a way through. And seeing a few of the comments coming in the virtual grandstand about some of the taps, you've got to remember this is a street circuit, so taps are almost inevitable. And for this man here, he's trying to win a championship, so has got to be as aggressive as he can be. Yes, you will see contact. You don't want to see people hitting each other off. You're going to get hard, aggressive racing tonight. So we'll wait and see what happens for Caden Parks Miller. But he is trying to throw absolutely everything at this at the moment. Jimmy Carroll starting to regain on the back of Kingston Mullings just behind this train here. And Alteriso's not dropped off the back of this train as much at the moment. He's only a second off the back of Jimmy Carroll, but running quite well, as there is Caden Parks Miller once again, trying to have a look on that of Gorbatenko. Further forward, Woods, is he on the back of a back marker? Yes, he is. Back marker gets straight out the way. That is one of the Mercedes-Benz moving out the way there. And Kingston Mullings trying to do everything he possibly can. That's the back marker in the background there. Look, just almost fighting that of Jimmy Carroll on the run down to turn 1. Tanner Kneebone gets past Landon Batson. So Tanner moves up yet another spot. And into turn 1 we go. Something's happened to Denerin though here, Tristan, because he's now all of a sudden 2 seconds behind Andrew Herschel and has got Ramsey Jimenez within 1.8 seconds. So has he maybe just brushed a wall somewhere?
Yeah, possibly touched a wall here or there, and Denerin has lost a lot of time here to Andrew Herschel. He has a possible replay. This is with this is with Jimmy Carroll, apologies, on the back marker there. That's the number 28 car. I believe is going to be... Oh, and that's contact. He took Jimmy Carroll out on the outside line. Yeah, no, that is not something you expect to see this late in the race. This early in the race with the back marker. Drew Metcalf down in 26th position. The number 28 car has just completely ruined Carroll's run on Alteriso. He's now 7 seconds behind. This is Declan Denerin, like we spoke about, just about 2 seconds off of Herschel at the moment. And A big thing we need to mention here about Parks Miller, he is making slightly more desperate moves here in this part of the race. Unfortunately, taking dives here at Gorbatenko that aren't fully liquidated at that point. And what he's got to watch out for is that Kingston Mullings is right on the rear side of his car. If he makes another one of those errors in a potential overtake here, he's going to open the door behind for Kingston Mullings to launch an attack, and that's going to completely throw him off of his charge to P4. So he's got to watch out for this one and not, try and find the position where it is granted, not try and force it, especially on a street circuit. So let's try and keep it nice and clean here between these top 7. It is getting very close, and Parks Miller is hungry to try and get the win here for the league by Foxxtecca season number 3, but he also has to watch out for penalties. That's already a potential penalty that can be thrown at him for that inside lunge at Gorbatenko. So the more and more he does something like that, the stewards could possibly push him away from that championship win here. So it's all about consistency and patience. And let's see if Parks Miller's got it in him to get past Gorbatenko and chase down on Woods to get a minimum of a P4 in this race to potentially take the win in this race coming into round number 8. It's been such a good series so far for season number 3. 8 great rounds that we've gotten to see. Oh, and there's contact. Vincent has slide-winded the wall, and unfortunately the left side of that BMW is going to be crabbing slightly. Let's have a look to see what Vincent has done here. Looks like he's possibly just coming a bit too hot somewhere, and or possibly hit somewhere. Oh, that's a hard shunt on the front left. So he just did not turn the car in fast enough or carried a bit too much speed in the corner, and that is going to be hard damage on the front left of that car.
It is indeed. As Altericio going back up the inside of Jimmy Carroll. 3 wide here, coming through the final corner. I believe that's Shopler, Lewis and Vincent all going at it. Might not be. Is one of them a back marker? I'm wondering. As the bubblegum car there we're seeing coming through, missing its front bumper, but Lewis at this moment in time running in 15th place on the back. Vincent running 15th place. Lewis just ahead of him. And there is the number 13. Of Vincent, who's got that damage to his car. Looked okay though, didn't look like it was crabbing too much.
Yeah, it looks like the damage was minimal. I think the shunt looked a lot harder than the actual damage. He really did plant into that wall. And again, it could be the nature of iRacing netcode. Sometimes things look major and they're not too major. He's going for it again. And it hasn't worked out this time. Parks Miller tries to take up on the inside line. I personally don't think there was enough space for that one. That was not front left to back right wheel racing. And even if he has gotten ahead here, unfortunately, the stewards are going to look at this one and he might get a penalty for that. So coming into the corner, back left. Dude, he was completely over the curb there. And he was actually aiming out slightly left, I believe. So nowhere that Gorbatenko could really run with that one. And now Mullings is on the backside as well, trying to chase up on him. This is not looking good for Parks Miller. A penalty will completely throw him out of this championship.
Yeah, and it's silly, isn't it? Look, I understand he's got to be aggressive. I understand he's got to be relentless in this race to try and win this championship. But it's just silly at the same time. I've just seen a comment in, another Caden doing normal things. To be fair, he didn't get much space in return. As much as I agree with that from Langley, there wasn't the space. That of Gorbatenko was already turning into the corner, so he come from a couple of tenths back. So I think that's on Caden Parks Miller for me. And yeah, look, he's still got to get past Archie Woods, but I'm sure the stewards will be having a good look at this one. Dianarine, for some reason, has just lost all pace and just can't keep with Herschel anymore, and has got Ramsey Jimenez just slowly chipping away at that time and bringing that gap down. So Ramsey here just trying to do everything he can to try and take another second place this season. He got second place at his home circuit of VIR last week, and we got him third place in the second race of Sebring 2 weeks ago. So on a run of podiums at the moment. And I wonder if we've got the camera of Ramsey Jimenez up this week. I'm sure he'll be having a fully concentrated face. One of the drivers we know that have the face cam with them. It's not there at the moment. This week. So not this week. Because we get to see the concentration on drivers' faces on normal circuits. They must be looking even more intense driving around this place.
Yeah, definitely trying to keep the focus here, and maybe that's why he's turned the camera off. Maybe he doesn't have a pretty focused face. I know I don't in sim racing. I look like I want to chop someone's head off when I'm trying to focus, and this is one of those circuits where you can't let off at all. It's like the Nordschleife for 24. You know, once you get past the GP circuit, you are entering 7 minutes of not talking to anyone, not doing anything but keeping your eyes on the circuit. And I kind of feel like this is what St. Petersburg is doing to these drivers, especially those who have not had too much experience around the circuit. Shelton Lewis, a little bit of damage on the front end side of that car. Is that the good old, is that the SF1000? I think it is the SF1000, looking at the battle shifters. Very nice little Thrustmaster wheel coming in there.
Wow.
And he's busy controlling the Merc GT at the moment. But yeah, that front end damage is going to play a bit of an effect at this circuit. Let's hope he can keep it nice and clean for the remainder of this race. 22 minutes in, our pit stop window opens around the 30 to 35 minute mark. And we'll see our drivers jumping in. Jimmy Carroll's jumped in quite early here. I think it might be due to damage that he got from that back marker. So he's decided to jump in early. And we'll see how this is going to affect his race in the long run.
Yep, we'll see how this affects his race in the long run at the moment. Great to see a different face camera there. We've not seen a lot of them this season, so good to see the bubblegum driver there showing off. Shelton Lewis, I believe it was, showing off the face camera this week. It's going to be an interesting one. Kristen in the chat saying, going to go do a rain dance. I think this race has been spicy enough without a little bit of rain. That could throw me and Tristan over the edge tonight in the commentary box if it does decide to have a shower or two here. Jimmy Carroll on the way out of the pit lane now. That is a little bit too early, so we'll have to come in for a splash and dash at the end of this race. Gorbatenko has lost out to Kingston Mullins as well and is 3.4 seconds off the back of Kingston Mullins. This is now Parks Miller trying to get the place he needs for that championship position that could possibly help him win the championship. He's on the flasher button, flashing the lights at that of Archie Woods, coming in towards turn number 1 now and then straight into turn 2, as this is where it really gets tight and twisty. And Parks Miller in that Ferrari, and I must say, Tristan, we spoke about the pros. Obviously, it's been pretty much a Ford Mustang series and that. It's great to see such a difference in car on this grid. Yes, the Ford Mustangs have still been the dominant choice in car, but we've got Ferraris, Mercedes, BMWs, Corvettes, a couple of McLarens, a couple of Porsches. We did have an Acura at one point as Parks Miller's looking up the inside of that of Archie Woods. Couldn't make it stick there, though. Shelton Lewis into the pits. Look, Parks Miller, I said he's got to be aggressive, but no, this might be a little bit too much at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit of a tricky one here for Parks Miller, because at one point I really do understand why he's pushing so hard. I mean, if you had the championship on the line, you needed to score a minimum threshold position. You would be pushing for your absolute life dependencies here, and that's exactly what he's doing. He's doing everything he possibly can to try and get up into P4 minimum to get into Herschel's mind here. Unfortunately, like we've already mentioned, it's the penalties might throw him under the bus here. So even if he does get a fourth position, and there he makes contact again with Woods, but even if he does get a fourth position here, if he gets any kind of penalty administered that pushes him back, he automatically will lose out on this championship. So that's not something we're hoping for, but it's unfortunately something we do have to consider coming into this race. Here comes a lunge on the inside. Nice bit of space. And that was a good clean overtake from Parks Miller. Nice bit of space occupation and nothing that Archie Woods could do there to defend. So Parks Miller now into fourth position. If he can maybe get to Ramsey Jimenez, the penalties might not concede too much here. So Parks Miller's chase is now to get up towards the top 3. We'll have to see what this is going to do for him. But Archie Woods flashing the lights. He's not very happy with the overtake that's happened there. Maybe with the bump that happened into turn number 1. And so he's going to try and fight back to get back ahead. Mullings is into 6th position, chasing down on Archie Woods. Yeah, Gorbatenko obviously losing 2 spots with that spin-off. That's taken him down to 7th spot. So Mullings in a great position here for some good points on the board. Let's see what he can do. He's got to stay cool, calm, and collective here to chase down on Parks Miller and Jimenez. And we'll have to see how this is going to go. 25 minutes in, about 10 minutes away from your pit window. Tristan Vincent's already out of the pit lane. He's taken it, and he's coming out already. Jimenez, unfortunately, not closing in on that gap to Deanna Reed and Herschel. He's just maintaining at the time being.
Yeah, just maintaining at the time being. There is Ramsey Jimenez coming through the chicane in the middle sector. And this should be an interesting one to see what Ramsey can do if Caden Parks Miller does close that 9-second gap in this one at the moment. Remember that obviously, provided that the stewards will look at that Caden Parks Miller incident with Dan Gorbatenko earlier, all the results will be provisional. So we may not have a champion tonight, but keep your eyes on the League by Foxxtecca social media. Keep your eyes on Apex Racing as well, because we'll find out there who the champion is because all results will be provisional, and if the stewards have got to look at that one, the results may get posted tomorrow in terms of who actually has won that championship. And that is Archie Woods into the wall, and into the wall very, very hard. Now was chasing down after Parks Miller, so I assume has gone into that all on his own.
Well, that was a hard shunt there from Archie Woods. Let's have a quick look at the replay to see what on earth has happened here. Chasing down just in the front there, you see Parks Miller. It's a long shot away, though. Was this a possible user error? Just missing the braking zone. It's a Charles Leclerc at Azerbaijan, and he just hasn't turned in hard enough, unfortunately, for Herschel. That front right is going to be severely damaged. Oh, and Gorbatenko followed in the exact same line there. Gorbatenko, I don't know if he was doing, if he missed the braking zone as well, or if he was just forced to go right there because there was nowhere else to run off from. But unfortunately for Archie Woods, you'll see the front right side of that wheel is completely exposed at this stage. And I don't know if we can go on board to see his steering angle there, Matt, to see if he's maybe holding slightly left or right. That did look like quite a hard shunt. That damage is quite... Man, it's so good to have drone footage of damage. You can actually get up close to see how bad it looks. And that wheel is completely exposed, but I do really want to see if he's got any kind of suspension damage. So he's about to go onto the second straight here. And, okay, looks like he's still holding relatively straight. So not too bad in terms of actual suspension damage, but he is still going to feel it in the long run.
Yeah, he is going to feel it, especially on that aero performance on the main straight especially. So, yeah, for Archie Woods there, he was driving really well up until that moment as well. So what a shame for Archie Woods. But that's put Kingston Mullings up into P5. Gorbatenko did manage to stay P6 at the end, and we'll see if Altericio can get onto the back. What will that do for Jimmy Carroll, though? I think Jimmy Carroll's still got a splash and dash to do at the very end of this race. By the way, look at Kingston Mullings, up 12 places. We've got Sandiri Garma up 13, Lopez up 14 places. So good stuff from these drivers already at the start of this race. We are approaching the half distance, pit window open. So there's not an actual pit window, it's just how much fuel is left in the tank of the car, because they're capped at 65 litres. So you roughly look within a 10-minute window for these cars to come into the pits. And this should be an interesting one for sure to see who can do what. But this is Saber running in his Ford Mustang, getting on the back of Nicholas LaRusso here then, in towards the chicane they go. Bringing that of the back marker with him as well. Out of the, is that the Clutches Night Crew Corvette? No, it's not. It's the Ferrari, I believe, of Havdal, who's potentially a lap down in this race after an earlier pit stop. So let's see what happens here in this race. One thing I am noticing, though, Tristan, Parks Miller not making the inroads on Ramsey Jimenez. That gap actually opening up almost to 10 seconds.
Yeah, it looks like Jimenez is quite locked in, and he's actually pulling closer to DNRE now that we speak of it, and pulling away from Parks Miller. So not able to catch here. And so this is going to be quite a bit of a chase. Like we mentioned, the scores are absolutely provisional. Mullings comes in for his pit lane. So there's the start of our pit window with a couple others following. So good move up there on Mullings, a bit of an undercut. Let's see what he does and where he comes out. But like we say, the scoring is completely provisional. Even if Parks Miller does get fourth here, we will not be able to declare him any kind of champion in tonight's events, as we will need to obviously go do some conduction of the final point counting, and any kind of penalties will have to be added into the equation. So for now, it's all going to be provisional up towards the line. Jimenez, though, is in a great position for a third podium, and a third one in a row as well, much to speak of, if he can just keep himself in this position. And I've got to say, Jimenez has been one of the cleaner drivers I've seen so far in season number 3. Really not much contact he's had with other drivers. A super clean drive he's had. And the amount of passion this young man has shown as well. We've seen him on the cameras sometimes. Whenever he does any kind of incredible result, even if it's a standard result in the top 10s or something, you can see how happy and how achieved he feels, just to make sure that he's gotten there. He's put the practice in and it's paid off. So great to see Jimenez up there in third, chasing down on a third podium in season 3 and seeing what he can do. Saba is also fourth currently in the championship standings. He could potentially try and get a couple more points here, but down in 9th position. It is a hard fight he's got to try and work up to get further up into the top 5 here. But the pit windows are open, and like Gordon Mullings says, it is time to see how the strategies of the pits are going to play out.
It is indeed. And I was actually just looking at the championship standings while he was on about Ramsey Jimenez and then went on to Sauber. There's 35 points separate them for 4th and 5th in the current championship standings. At the minute, sadly for Ramsey Jimenez, he'll only outscore him by 19 points. So if Sauber was to have an issue and drop down the order a little bit more, Ramsey could be looking at a P4 in the championship. And Ramsey's a top guy as well. I've spoken to him in the voice chat several times. He jumps in our voice chats for the team that I'm involved in, obviously the league that I'm involved in, proudly sponsoring him this season. He's a great guy. He works hard all season. He gets his head down. He got very disappointed after, I can't remember which round it was. It was the round before Sebring. He got very disappointed with his result there. I believe it was Road America. But I said, look, dude, you're going to bounce back. You're capable of bouncing back. And he did. Landon Batson goes for a move on Ken Majori. And I'd like to see that one again if we possibly could, Amet, because Ken Majori has gone around. Landon Batson's got no front bumper. I wonder if we can see that from like a helicam. Here we go. Now, Landon Batson gets an almighty run late on the brakes. Yeah, that's on Landon. Just a little too late there. A little too opportunistic from the young man himself. And Landon just have to be a little bit more cautious on a few of them as he comes through. But, Ken Majori won't be happy. But keep battles all up and down in this championship. And Ramsey Jimenez will be trying to get past Saba. And that is Santiago Lopez, who's just gone straight into the tyre wall, almost in the tyre wall. Made the same mistake as Archie Wood. So drivers just being caught out a little bit here.
Yeah, a couple of drivers really starting to find the difficulties here. And something we missed as well, apologies about that. The reason why Mullings came to the pit lane so early, he actually hit the wall somewhere. And he had crabbing damage. So his car was crabbing, meaning it was kind of climbing left or right while going forwards. So that's quite a severe bit of a knock that Mullings took. I don't think we can get a replay, as it was quite a bit a while ago. But that's why he jumped into the pit lane so early. He is back out in 11th position and will probably take that as his pit stop as well. It is roughly in the middle of the circuit, so he should be okay to take it now to the final spots of the race. What on earth has happened? Yeah, Herschel's made an error. He's dropped completely. He's lost out to Dean Areen here. And this has completely changed up for the lead of this race. Herschel has made contact somewhere, and that's an easy move up there for Dean Areen.
Oh, no.
He's avoiding. Is that Ken Majori again? Indeed it is. So. And Ken Majori just spinning out on circuit. Herschel has got no option but to slow the car down completely to avoid damage.
So Ken Majori's come through the corner, drops the rear end, bounces off the wall. He's on his brakes. You can see his brake lights are being held and well avoided from Andrew Herschel. But Declan Dienarine capitalises there. And now that really changes the championship course. Even if Caden Poxmiller does get a penalty and drops down the order, he doesn't need to necessarily finish 4th place in this race as it stands at the moment. This is on board Andrew Herschel. Watch for the spinning Corvette coming around, and, well, how he has avoided him there, I do not know. But hats off to that of Andrew Herschel for keeping that out of trouble. Kamari Odom, I believe that is, who's just unlapped himself from Herschel as well. But now the race leader, who has had such good race pace, has got to re-overtake Declan Dienarine and has got Ramsey Jimenez within 0.8 of a second. So this is game on, because Herschel knows he needs to win this race. He needs to capitalise on as many points as he possibly can. Ramsey Jimenez here, I fancy him in the position he's in, while Herschel and Dienarine could start fighting to really close up onto the back of these two. But let's wait and see. Pox Miller, by the way, cannot close on these front three. He cannot get any closer than 9 seconds in this race at the moment. So let's see what's going to happen in this race. But Andrew Herschel now, gloves off. He's got work to do.
Yeah, gloves off indeed. Unfortunately, we don't have a fuel overlay to view when these cars are all going to be coming in, but I suspect it's going to be within the next couple of minutes. It is a slightly shorter circuit, and so I'm expecting a little bit longer time out on those tanks. But some of these drivers will be coming in shortly to get those pit stops served. What a good save, though, from Herschel. And I'm not going to lie to you, if that was my position, I would have gone left and probably made contact with the Corvette. Yeah. What on earth was that instinct to immediately dive right when he saw the Corvette spin? And he really did save himself there. Even though he's lost the position, he did not get a single speck of damage. And he can continue chasing up for the podium, which is what he's going to try to do. But Jimenez has gotten the advantage now to climb in. And Jimenez was catching slightly, so it means he is in contention here to potentially climb onto the backside of Herschel and take over that position. Altericio now putting pressure on Woods, giving him a bit of a love tap as well. Putting pressure on behind. Tannen Ebone gets ahead of Ubin Sandira Gama down in 22nd. And now diving into turn 1, they will go. You can see Altericio on the outside line looking for an alternative strategy to get past here. Unfortunately, it's not going to work out for him as he is looking everywhere to potentially make the overtake, though. But what a good little bit of action that we had over there. The top 3 has never been closer so far in the race. And now we get to see a little bit of action. But a big thing you mentioned, Matthew, is that Parks Miller is just not catching at this stage of the race. He does not have it in him at the moment to catch up to the top 3, which is what he crucially needs in order to avoid a penalty, is to completely cut off the timing limit. And there we do now see Dienarine jumping into the pit lane, the first of the pitters in the top 3. Looks like like Jimenez and Herschel are going to stay out. So is the undercut or is the overcut going to be the player today?
Just worked out the championship standings. If the result stays as it is and Parks Miller doesn't receive a penalty, and this is all hypothetical, so don't shoot the messenger, Caden Parks Miller will win the championship by 2 points. So Herschel, at the moment, needs to make sure he gets himself ahead of that of Deanarine, or pray to the gods that Parks Miller does receive a penalty in this race. Gorbatenko has also kept himself out. Kamari Odom and Ken Majori into the pit lane. So Kamari Odom in for his stop. And Deanarine's pitted a lot earlier than a lot of these drivers. I say a lot earlier. At least a lap earlier than a lot of these drivers. A lot are going the extra lap at the moment. And I'm interested then to see if that's going to bring Deanarine out in traffic or not. He's came out the pit lane now. He's 1.8 seconds behind. There he is. There he is behind this battle of Altericio and Woods. So he's not in a lot of traffic at the moment. I did just see the wipers going on Archie Woods' car. I don't think it's raining. But he did just put the wipers on momentarily. It isn't raining. Track's down to 36 degrees and the ambient temperature has gone up to 27. But it is still overcast, so must have just caught the wiper button there for Archie Woods. But yeah, Deanarine at the moment has got a little bit of a gap in front just to have that clear air and not have to work his way through traffic. We'll see, though, who pits this lap or not. Now that Andrew Herschel, by the way, has got that clear track, he's put 1.6 seconds over Ramsey Jimenez, so he's started to pull away. And he's got the kind of pace to make the overcut work as Gorbatenko is now into the pit lane.
Yeah, Deanarine's gonna looking at that camera angle looked like Deanarine was jumping in. He's not. And Deanarine's already come in, which is why he's out. Gorbatenko and Woods are now going to jump into the box. But Herschel and Jimenez both staying out. This is a very, very late pit window, Matthew, that we're seeing at the circuit. It's already 38 minutes into the circuit. And a high population of the circuit, a high population of our drivers have not come into the pit lane yet. Jimenez and Herschel, two included in this equation. So we'll have to see when they're going to come out and where Deanarine is going to potentially threaten the two of them with the undercut strategy coming in. So let's see how this is going to go. And Brad Isuin is into the pit lane, and then Archie Woods, like we mentioned, is in. There we now see Andrew Herschel and Ramsey Jimenez into the pit box. All eyes are going to be on Declan Deanarine. Where is he going to pop out here in terms of the standings? Is he going to get first here on the undercut strategy? Parks Miller jumps in. Altericio is probably going to follow into the same following order unless he decides to start one more lap. But Deanarine is going to be looking to take the lead back of this race if he's got it in him. So we'll have to see if Deanarine's undercut strategy is going to be the better play in this race. Now we see Herschel and oh no, obviously that's just a bit of a change up in the pit lane. Altericio is in, so Declan Deanarine is now going to get one. There he moves up one. He's going to get ahead of Jimenez now. And Herschel's already on pit exit. Deanarine's just coming around turn number one. There we see Herschel coming out of the pit lane. And it looks like Herschel has indeed jumped him on the overcut.
Yeah, yes, indeed. So he's made the overcut work. He got that with Deanarine pitting 2 laps earlier. That's allowed Andrew Herschel to have a bit of clear air, just start to put the foot down a little bit more and use that pace that he's had all night to just get that jump. And he's jumped him by a good 3.5 seconds. Deanarine has also jumped Ramsey Jimenez by quite the margin. And Parks Miller has actually gained 6 seconds over Ramsey Jimenez. So Jimenez has had a nightmare of a pit stop there in this race. And yeah, it's brilliant to see this kind of strategy play out. But now Parks Miller's within 2.7 of Jimenez. Has he got the pace to get ahead of Ramsey Jimenez? That's going to be the biggest question, though.
Yeah, that is going to be the question, yeah, if he can get past. And something to consider as well is that cold tires are definitely a factor in this race. Deanarine is going to be on the slightly more warmed up tires. He's already spent 1 lap around, and you can see he's already caught about 8 to 9 tenths in just this one little bit of the circuit, catching up to Herschel now as his tires are nice and warmed up. But Herschel's tires, just after about 1.5 or so laps, are going to have enough yet to catch up. FinFan saying he thinks that Ramsey has taken tires, but the top 2 did not take tires, which would make sense because Jimenez is currently 6.5 seconds off the top 2, so a little bit longer being spent in the pit lane. And so let's see if this is going to play the advantage for him or not. There's only 20 minutes left to go in this race, but maybe the tires will die out on the street circuit towards the end, and Jimenez might have played the upper strategy card here.
Yeah, indeed, yeah. So let's see what he's going to do. He's got that fresh rubber on the car at the moment, so we'll see if he can use it to his advantage. Good trainer cars behind that of Kingston Mullins, and LaRusso has just lost out to Flynn out there at the moment. So Colin Flynn has got himself up into the top 10. Saba gaining on the back of Altericio. Jimmy Carroll on the rear of Gorbatenko. So Jimmy Carroll's really early pit stop has done fantastic at the moment. Just seen a message coming through. Okay, just read that. I'm not going to read that one out on the broadcast on the message me and Tristan have just received, so we'll keep that one hush for now unless we get told otherwise. But yeah, so far, Caleb Parks-Miller, if he was to get some form of penalty and it be that 10 seconds, P4 could be safe for him.
Yeah, P4 could indeed be safe for him here with only about 17, 18 minutes left to go. Not much time on the board here for the drivers to think about, and time is slowly but surely closing in here. Can Kingston Mullings, he's now managed to recover back up to top 5 after that small tap that he's received, but Gorbatenko is just on the backside of him and potentially looking to jump back up. Dakins Design also took tires in second place, so this is going to be an ultimate test of time here, Matthew. With the likes of Herschel not taking tires, unless maybe he did take tires and somebody in the virtual grandstand can let us know. Oh! And that's contact on the back there. And Gorbatenko, I'm not too sure if that was self-inflicted or contact with Jimmy Carroll, but he's completely lost it now, all the way down to 10th. That's going to be front and rear damage. And he's just lost out there. What on earth has happened to Gorbatenko? It looks like he made contact in a very, very weird way there. As we're trying to see the replay there, I think we're on the wrong car. This is Altericio's car. There we can see Gorbatenko just a bit up in front, with Carroll behind and Kingston Mullings just up ahead. And there is contact from Carroll from behind, and he's just lost out.
Clipped the rear of Kingston Mullings on that one as well.
Yeah.
Just watch here quite closely. I believe. Yeah, he does. So as he's possibly lifted off the throttle a little bit there, Jimmy Carroll's been unaware and just caught him on the rear, almost contact from in front as well. And I'm just sorry to butt interest. I've just seen a lot of comments in the virtual grandstand there. And look, regardless of age, everybody's welcome onto this grid. So let's praise some of the drivers. Let's let the stewards do the job they need to do in terms of penalising, regardless of what age you are. Let's just keep the comments nice in the virtual grandstand, please, because it's great to see these drivers out on the circuit at the moment. So, let's just keep it to a minimum if we possibly can. We're here to celebrate all these drivers out on the circuit, regardless of what happens. Race control and the stewards will do their job, as that is Jimmy Carroll all over the back of Kingston Mullings, and here's Altericio round the outside, inside for the next part, and manages to force his way through on Jimmy Carroll, and this is turning into a boxing match out there.
Yeah, lots of back and forth and bumping happening at the circuit, and it seems like it's a repeatable offense here tonight. We're seeing constant back and forth bumping that's happening between the drivers here. Once one driver gets a little bit of an insight into an overtake, they kind of just push their way through here, and Altericio has managed to do it and get himself ahead there of Jimmy Carroll, who's now behind, trying to potentially get further up ahead here. So let's see how this is going to work out for Jimmy Carroll and Altericio as they go head-to-head. Jimmy Carroll looking up on the inside line, but it gets blocked off by Altericio just at the end of the corner, and now going to be side-by-side with Kingston Mullings. He takes the defensive line all the way far up on the inside here. No. It's multiple switchbacks. It's an entire snake, and this is looking a little bit dangerous. Not very nice for my likings here. Thank goodness Carroll decides to back up. He's actually going to get the better line here because of the slowdown from Kingston Mullings, and Carroll with the insane read. And no, he's clipped the curb. And from one good read to get past the likes of Altericio, he's made the mistake over the curb. That was looking so good for Jimmy Carroll. Look at the outside sweep. And he's just taken too much curb for the Ford Mustang to handle. Completely ate it. And there goes the rear end. What an unfortunate battle there for Jimmy Carroll. It was looking so good on the recovery.
And I tell you what, you kind of knew something bad was going to happen there due to the weaving down the start-finish straight from Kingston Mullings and Altericio. But yeah, that of Jimmy Carroll there just bouncing off the curb and spinning around. So yeah, really much of a shame for him. Arena was within 3/10 of Herschel there. Slow down penalty for him. So he's taking a bit of track limit somewhere. That's going to put him on the back foot. Parks-Miller has closed up onto the rear of Ramsey Jimenez. That's come under 2 seconds now. That's down to 1.6. So Parks-Miller trying to do everything he can in this race, and this is not allowing Kingston Mullings the chance to gain on Caleb Parks-Miller at all. So is this Parks-Miller sitting pretty at the moment? Saba goes defensive over Dan Gorbatenko, coming down in towards turn number 1. Colin Flynn there in the Corvette, waiting in the wings. Once again, Gorbatenko thinks of a late move up the inside, can't do it, gets the better run out of the first part of the corner, but sadly got checked up due to the fact that big Ford Mustang of Saba was in the way. And Gorbatenko lucky there not to get rear-ended by that Corvette of Colin Flynn behind, but they all still keep fighting for the time being. 13 minutes. Was that Gorbatenko just bouncing off the wall a little bit there? Believe it might have been Colin Flynn now attacking the rear of the BMW. Damage doesn't look too bad, so maybe he didn't clip it at the front. Maybe it was a bit of side-on contact, but either way, this racing is just getting even more spicier as we get to the end of this race, and that threat of rain just looming a little bit larger at the moment.
Yeah, that 12% is going to start to become more and more apparent as we get towards that final 10 minutes, although I don't think it's going to play too much of effect here into the ending of this race. Trying to look at it now, it is still pretty much fixated for the top 5. I say that, and Kingston Mullings has made an error on the outside line. He's just lost it, heading onto the turn number 1 straight around the Parabolica style corner. And what on earth has happened to Kingston Mullings? Just a bit of grip loss. It looks like it. I don't think he made contact with anyone. This looks fully self-inflicted. And I think just pushing to, never mind, it's not self-inflicted. And, that was a very, very long-range dive coming from Altericio. Maybe we can get another replay from the helicam there just to look at how far away Altericio dove, but nothing that Kingston Mullings could do there from that perspective. Here's your aerial view. And so Kingston Mullings, that is a very, very far away for Altericio. Was he late on the brakes? He was. My goodness, that is far away. And yeah, nothing that Mullings can do. That's an unfortunate one for Mullings. That will be looked at again by the stewards after the race happens today. And not a great move there from Altericio. That's knocked Mullings right off his feet, and he'll have to work back up for that one.
Yeah, a little silly there from Altericio in this one then. Just a big late dive and missed the apex by an absolute country mile. But Kingston Mullings, round he goes, and Mullings has dropped all the way down to P11. So you really fancy the fact of Caden Parks-Miller might be your champion tonight, because that 31-second gap back to Altericio is a huge one. So for 4th place might be enough for Parks-Miller, and the Batson into the pit lane. We saw him pit early on, so that might be him coming back in for his actual stop now to make sure he can get to the end of this race. But Saba on the defensive from Gorbatenko here into turn 1. Colin Flynn still waiting in the wings just behind that in the all-red Corvette. Saba was a little offline there coming through turn number 2, but managed to keep it all together, and Dan Gorbatenko really clattered the curb and held onto it quite nicely. Gap out front 2.8 seconds. Ramsey Jimenez with his fresh set of tyres, not necessarily gaining over the likes of Dienarine or Herschel, so that's not worked into his advantage. But he is pulling away from Caden Parks-Miller, so he's going to be, looks like he's going to be in for another podium. One thing we haven't mentioned here tonight, Tristan, is the traffic could play an absolute nuisance as well on such a tight circuit.
Yeah, the traffic is going to start to get quite penalizing. Yeah, I'm not too sure if we have a track map graphic just to show to see what it could potentially look like with the leaders catching up to some of the back markers. We've already seen it, but the more and more back markers we start to get to here, it is going to start to become quite tight between the leaders trying to fight each other and the back markers trying to maintain themselves. There you can see the track map on the right-hand side, and the leaders are well within the pack of the back markers. You can see P1 over there is currently Andrew Herschel. He's busy chasing down in 22nd and 13th, so it's already mixed all the way down to the top 10, mixing with some of the back markers. So it is well within the limits here of fighting it out with some of the back markers. Saba is going to find the inside line here over Gorbatenko and get that position taken back here. Colin Flynn also fancied a chance behind, but just not enough space for him to make that move, and he'll drop off slightly further back here. A good little bit of fighting that's happening for your top 5. And they'll try and hold it out for a little bit longer. Saba goes wide here, and they're actually going to almost make contact with Gorbatenko on the outside. Another bang on the inside, and this is going to leave the door open for Colin Flynn. Saba loses 2 positions in one corner there, and Colin Flynn finding the opportunity to make the overtake happen will now move up into 6. Here's your replay, so you can see there, Saba almost completely nailed the barricades on the left-hand side, so he goes completely wide. There's the bit of a nudge from Gorbatenko, and that just forces the door open for the Corvette driver there of Colin Flynn to get one more position up on the board. Just behind is Nicholas Larasso. He's also trying to look for some opportunities down in 9th to see if he can get one more on Andre Saba into the top 8 of this race. A couple of ups and downs this race, but overall, the top 3 have been pretty uncontested. And with 10 minutes left to go, our short chance of rain might become a reality, but I don't think it's going to affect our drivers too much here at St. Petersburg.
Yep, completely agree with you there then. So Colin Flynn moves up into 7th, Gorbatenko 6th, and they're still resuming their fight. Sauber now under pressure from LaRusso. Jimmy Carroll a couple of seconds further back in this field at the moment. Been a great race this one has here at St. Petersburg. It's down in towards the chicane we go. Gorbatenko within a second now of Altoricio as well, so might fancy a move over that of Altoricio as this race comes towards its climax here in the end of the AM Championship. We have got the pros coming up after a little break. As Gorbatenko just brushes the wall a little bit there, and has that opened the door for Colin Flynn on the outside? No, it hasn't. Did think of squeezing his Corvette down the outside there, but couldn't do so. So if you do want to please do stick around for the Pro Championship finale there. Great race to see. No Morley Joth in that one. But David Toth and Roman Pascucci will be duking it out for the championship there. So stick around for the Pro Championship race. As that is Sauber trying to come back on Colin Flynn. Couldn't do so. This is a real good fight here for that final 5th place position of the season. It really has been an interesting battle. Jimmy Carroll almost on the back of this train as well. In the background you can see. So even though he's got that damage on the front end of the Ford Mustang, he's still sticking in there with the pack.
Yeah, he's really trying to keep up here in top 10. And see what he can do to render his final results here. Lopez gets ahead of Vincent. That's down in 17th position. Good little bit of fighting that's still been happening. Matthew, fortunately for you, unfortunate for Tan and Ebon, we haven't really been seeing too much of his car as of late as he's down in 23rd. Oh, there's huge contact. What on earth has happened? Altoricio's around. Gorbatenko gets past and so does Flynn, but there was a little bit of contact that's happened there. What on earth has happened to Altoricio? There's just contact on contact happening here. Did he hit that outside tire barrier? And no, he didn't. He loses it trying to bring it in. It's completely self-inflicted. Good dodge there from Gorbatenko to get past, and Colin Flynn also read it well, but a very unfortunate there for Altoricio. A hard bit of fighting, and unfortunately it's all been thrown away. He goes all the way down to 12th position here. Kingston Mullings gets rewarded back to 10th after his knockoff, but still not where he wanted to be. Unfortunate spin around there for Altoricio, and so Flynn, Sauber, and LaRusso all get ahead. Gorbatenko gets back up into the top 5, still 36 seconds off of Parks Miller. Here comes a potential overtake. Looking up on the inside here, LaRusso on the backside of Sauber. Is he going to do it? No, he's not. He's going to play it safe and look for a closer opportunity to make the overtake happen.
Ramsey Jimenez last lap was a second quicker than Declan Dianarin, so keep your eyes on that gap coming down. There is only 6 and a bit minutes left to go, but just keep your eyes on that gap. See if it does come down any more for Ramsey Jimenez in this race, because that could make it a little bit spicy for P2 at the end. Dianarin and Jimenez not fighting for anything in this championship. We'll keep our eyes on what happens. Colin Flynn, though, still behind Dan Gorbatenko with that of Sauber, LaRusso and Jimmy Carroll all behind them in this train now. Bit of traffic in front as well. So they've got to negotiate some of the back markers here without a rear spoiler. So they've got to be a little bit careful as they come through the little left-hand kink. The front two managed to negotiate the back marker, and Sauber just gets hold a little bit behind as the back marker stays well out the way. Jimmy Carroll with a big correction coming through the left-hand bend there, manages to keep it all nice and straight. And he's got the Ferrari, I believe, of Havdal behind him, who is a lap down in this race as well. And that is Tristan Vincent, who's had his fair share of dramas tonight. And he's got Sandy Rigama trying to gain on the back of him.
Yeah, Sandy Rigama behind, seeing if he can get a couple more spots in this race. The only McLaren driver currently out on the board, and seeing if he can get the jump on the BMW there of Tristan Vincent. We'll have to see if that's going to work out in his favor. Dan Gorbatenko gets into 5th now. And Dan Gorbatenko went all the way down to 10th position. He's climbed all the way back up to 5th after that spin-off that he had. And what a good monumental comeback he's had. And he'll get a good result. Colin Flynn, 10 positions up as well on the board. Jimmy Carroll, 11 positions up. Schoppler up 14 spots. So a lot of good climbers in this battle. And battle for 7th at the moment with Sauber, LaRusso, and Carroll. You can see as they all try to hold it. This is the longer battle for 5th position, with Gorbatenko holding it just a bit further up in front, with Colin Flynn now chasing behind. And Colin Flynn has been a great drive for the past couple of rounds. Really found his stepping and starting to contest against some of the other drivers. So let's see if Gorbatenko can keep him at bay, or if he is going to impede and poses a bit of a threat in these final closing stages here. Flynn looking to see what he can do behind the BMW. But it's going to be a bit of a hard-fought battle if he wants to get past. Gorbatenko is pretty adamant on keeping 5th position here. And so it's going to be a hard battle here for Flynn to get by. Sauber's lost out from Flynn. about 1.8 seconds, and now Nicholas Rosso has got a chance at attacking on Saba to get one more position from 8th up to 7th. Carroll's also on the back there to potentially get one more. So good bit of racing that we're seeing here between the drivers who have all gained quite a couple of positions. Saba the only in that pack to not gain anything, down 1 at the moment, and so he needs to try and return back to where he started, or else he will be 1 position down in this race. Vincent gets behind Coolidge, unfortunately. Gorbatenko almost hits the ball as well.
Yeah, and Colin Flynn almost went into the rear of Gorbatenko. He got the run, went up the inside, but almost lost out. Vincent's now lost out to Sandy Rigama as well. Obviously running with no rear wing on that BMW, so just trying to get to the end of this race. But so far, Colin Flynn, who was attacking Gorbatenko, is now coming under a little bit of pressure from that of Saba, the Italian driver, trying to find his way through as best he can in this race at the moment. But so far, no luck for him in this one. And Ramsey Jimenez within 2.7 now. I said keep your eyes on that gap, 2.7 with 3 minutes left. Possibly going to get maybe 3 laps in this race because Herschel's towards the end of the lap. So Ramsey Jimenez here. But, you know, as the great Murray Walker once said, catching's one thing, passing is another. We'll try passing on this kind of circuit. But Jimenez might try and find that P2 position in this race. He's pulled 7 seconds clear of Caden Parks Miller. And this fight for P5 is still raging on between the 5 cars. Gorbatenko, Flynn, Saba, LaRusso and Jimmy Carroll, who has managed with the damage to stay in this pack, has been absolutely fantastic for him in this race. And what a race it has been here at St. Petersburg. Gorbatenko thought he was losing the car there, but he just rode the curb a little bit. Very tight and twisty, very slow through this section of the course as well. So almost he can park the car exactly where he needs to because he knows Colin Flynn's not going to have that speed and momentum to dive up the inside.
Yeah, he's just not going to have enough here, and it's just going to be an easier hold here for him to potentially keep these spots in the ending of this race. And just reading... yeah, fairly confident then for Caden Parks Miller to potentially take this championship. Even if he does get a penalty awarded to him at this stage in the race, he is 30 seconds up from Flynn. So any kind of penalty from 20 seconds, even if it's a hefty 30-second penalty, it's not going to affect him. And so he will look to take the championship win here. We're 90% confident that that will be the result here for Parks Miller, as long as he keeps it clean for the last couple of laps in this race. Colin Flynn still looking to get past Gorbatenko in the closing stages here. About a minute and a half left to go in this race. And not much time on the board for all of our drivers. Where does P1 sit? Only passing the checkered flag line now. And we're looking at about a minute and 11-second lap time. So should still be another lap after this one that we'll get to see for these drivers. And like we mentioned, that time is coming down. Jimenez already down to under 2 seconds now. Or just about 2 seconds, actually. I thought it was going to break there, but he's just gone a bit over. And so Jimenez is closing. I just don't think he's going to have enough time to bring it. And he has a back marker in front of him as well. So it might be this might be it for Jimenez. But nonetheless, it's going to be another podium if he keeps it clean for the rest of this. And he's going to be super chuffed with that one. The final race of the season, and taking a podium home is all you could ever ask for. For an aspiring driver there like Ramsey Jimenez, seeing what he can do. Colin Flynn still putting the pressure on Gorbatenko, like we've been saying. And then Saba has re-caught up here to potentially get one more spot up on the board, but he's going to have to fight for it here. Flynn is looking quite aggressive to get past Gorbatenko, but he needs to do it clean and in one successful move. He can't flutter about because it'll leave the door open for Saba to potentially attack here. We are on the closing 10 seconds of this race, and our race leader is just going to come across the line for one more lap to go here. Last chance for Flynn to get across and potentially get one more position here. Herschel will start his final lap here after what a monumental race he has taken so far at St. Petersburg. He just needs to bring it home now.
He does indeed, just needs to bring it home in this race. A good race for Andrew Herschel. Just that one moment where he had his heart in his mouth, and he's done everything he can. We'll see what the penalty is to Parks Miller. We don't think it's going to be 38 seconds, which could obviously make him the champion. Results are still provisional regardless of how big the gap is until we get full confirmation from the stewards. But Andrew Herschel has done everything he needed to do. He's done everything right, and he's going to come home to take back-to-back race wins as well, because he won last time out at Virginia. So back-to-back race wins for Andrew Herschel. And I tell you what, if Herschel and Deanarine and Jimenez are in the AM category for next season, you've got to put your money on one of them three surely to become the champion, because they have drove fantastically all season long. Jimenez just missing the race win that Denerine and Herschel have. But round the final corner, Andrew Herschel, it's sadly not going to be the championship he wanted, as we think, but he's going to take the final win of the AM season, and he crosses the line to win the race. Declan Denerine, a solid second place from him. Ramsey Jimenez will cross the line in third, but provisionally, until we get full confirmation, Caden Parks-Miller will be the AM champion in fourth position. What a drive from him. Little aggressive at times, but a great season that he's had all throughout this past 8 weeks. You have to say tonight has been the worst drive from Caden Parks-Miller in terms of his just outright aggression. He's had to be aggressive, he's had to make the moves, but this fight still isn't done for P5, Tristan.
Yeah, still P5 coming down to the line here for Colin Flynn. And he's actually got the inside line coming into the Parabolica style corner here for turn number 14. And it's wide for Gorbatenko. So it's one spot up there for Colin Flynn. Across the line he's going to go and into fifth position. Unfortunate for Gorbatenko, who will lose it on the line. What a great bit of racing we've had here today. A little bit of aggression, a little bit of mistakes happening here or there, but a very difficult circuit that was presented to our AM drivers, and they've conquered it like absolute champions. 51 total laps here around St. Petersburg, the new circuit to iRacing, and our drivers have been able to take it by absolute storm. Landon Batson down in 24th will be your final few amount of drivers still coming across the checkered flag line. But man, what a good little bit of racing we've seen yet today for the AM race. And there's still an entire pro race coming up for you right after this. But before we switch over, our results. Andrew Herschel does indeed take the win here, but Declan Denerine in second. Ramsey Jimenez in third, with Caden Parks-Miller, who looks to be your champion for season number 3, provisional for the time being and will be finalized later on. Colin Flynn takes fifth with Dan Gorbatenko in sixth. Sandre Saba 7th, and Nicholas Larasso in 8th position. 9th for Jimmy Carroll and 10th for Kingston Mullings. 12th, 11th for Sheldon Lewis, 12th for Lewis Holloway. It's Alex Altericio to Anton Shopler, Archie Woods, Kamari Odom, Aiden Santiago Lopez to Caden Coolidge. We'll go through the entire board since it is the last time we'll be seeing the board for the next 8 weeks or so, from 19th down for the standings, and there we'll see. It's going to be from 19, Karsten Habdal, Uven Sander Garma, Tristan Vincent, Bowie Suin, Tana Nebone, with Landon Batson, Ken Majori, Peyton May, Drew Metcalf, Samuel Patty, Evan Davis, who unfortunately DNF'd in this race, and Casey Berry down in 30th position. Your 30 total drivers to take it here for the final round number 8. What a good day of racing we had. And there's your championship standings as well.
Yeah, what a good day of racing we had. But don't go anywhere. Make sure you stay a part of this, because we've still got the championship fight in the Pro Series coming your way in just a few moments' time. We'll get obviously a little break while we get everything set up for the Pro Series. We'll grab a drink and refresh ourselves. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be right back in just a few moments' time.
We had panels, we had amazing stars today. We had Destiny here, LeVar Scott, Nigel Sylvester,
Mr. Steven Smith,
Sarah Waste,
Ralph Giles.
So we're going to jump into it real quick. I want to frame our conversation real quick. We are living in an era where the automobile is not just about mobility. It's about culture, it's about equity, and it's about stories. And as I think about that, the automobile has always been more than just a machine. The automobile has been a reflection of the times. So if we go back to the late 60s and early 70s, where Black America saved Cadillac, or we go back to 1914, where the middle class was literally built on the back of Ford Motor Company and the $5 a day pay wage. Now we're going to fast forward to today. We're having a conversation about how women are redefining what leadership looks like in design and mobility. And what I want to do is I want us to figuratively give flowers to these amazing transformational women who are making change in the world and in society at large.
Thank you.
Come on, y'all. Y'all can do better than that. Y'all can do better than that. All right. So now we're going to jump right into it. The first question is for Sarah. All right. Now we've often heard that leadership everything rises and falls on leadership. So I would love to get from you some context around what leadership traits are essential for those who are guiding innovation and not just being a cog in the wheel.
Yeah, thank you for giving me that question. I'm going to start off with one of my favorite quotes, and you could probably check back on another speaking engagement. I always live on this, and that is, the man that knows something knows that he knows nothing at all. And of course, that's from Erykah Badu. But remaining a student is what, when I first heard that, is what I took from that, and I dwell on that day to day. So from a leadership point of view, one of the biggest skills are to remain student, to remain curious, to remain open and explorative. Because although we are seasoned in our leadership, we must remain the level of curiosity in order to expand ourselves, expand our team, and make sure that the products that we're designing is the best in world class. So student level, I feel like ideation, student level leadership is an imperative skill for me as a leadership point of view.
No, that's beautiful to hear, because I think we should always be learning. And no matter what age, even though y'all look young, y'all look extremely youthful, learning is something that we should always be doing, right? So it doesn't stop when you graduate from high school, college, and even beyond. So Salika, there's a lot going on in the world today. There's a lot of discord around DEI, and there's a national narrative, and it's very skewed. There's a lot of noise in the system. But my question to you really is, how can a leader really think about inclusive design with all of this other noise that's happening and make sure that they're thinking about it from an equity and an inclusive standpoint?
I think that's my sweet spot. I love to talk about equity, and equity simply, so I always define it when I'm having a conversation, it means opportunity and access. When you're building and designing for automotive, whose opportunity and access are you influencing and impacting? If I'm a leader, I want to make sure that I'm training, that there's proper education. Did I set up policies and standards within the company and then measure against them so that we are designing for a livable experience for the greatest swath of society, instead of me as the figurehead leader dictating what it should be for everybody? I don't know everything. I need to have other voices. I need partnerships with community. I need to look at, maybe I need some feedback loops. I need lived experience to influence how we build and how we create new technology and innovate.
No, I love that, because again, we have to create frameworks. I always realize that we are more prepared than anybody that we're going to compete against. We put the time in, but lots of times we get overlooked. But before we have another question, I just want to just look at the fits that these young ladies have on right here. I know this is cars, kicks, and culture. So we just got to, can y'all just break down what you're wearing real quick, just so we can just understand what you have on right now?
Well, my kicks are Gucci's that I got during a mobility seminar that I led in Paris a couple of years ago. And my denim dress is from a Kenyan doctor turned fashion designer called Adomo. And I got this in New Orleans, even though it's from a designer where my father's family is.
I love that. Go ahead.
So I'm wearing not kicks, but I am a kick girl. I am wearing mainly from the Style Guru. I'm Detroit through and through. She is from Detroit, born and raised. Shout out to Gabby. It was important for me to wear a piece of Detroit on stage, so that's where the fit comes from. I wanted to give off funky, creative, corporate, somewhere that blended between. And yeah, so shout out to the kicks over here. They're amazing. They probably could have came with me too. But yes, that's what we're on today. After tonight, that's what we're switching into the kicks.
Okay. So the reason I brought that question up is that we show up not only intellectually, but when we show up in the room, we change the whole atmosphere. And so we shouldn't shy away from who we are in terms of what we wear. And so I just wanted to make sure that we caught out. And they were like, y'all got stuff from all over the world. This is amazing. I love this. I love this. I love this. All right. Next question. This is for both of y'all. I don't want to get too much into theory. I want to get into some practice. So I want some examples or a case study or stories where leadership and design have aligned and you've seen some breakthrough?
Salika, you want to go first or me?
I am an adjunct professor at the University of Southern California and have the privilege of taking my students every semester to the Peterson Automotive Museum, where they get to see some of the most amazing vehicles that exist. The Peterson breaks down their vehicles into 5 categories. Let's hope I can remember them: utility, style, innovation, distinction, and freedom. When I think about those spaces, how does a vehicle fit into them? How do we think about how we want to show up in automotive land? How do we build and design in ways that are really transforming the industry? So the Mini Cooper was essentially designed as a result of the oil crisis. A version of Jeep as a result of World War II. The Prius, as we began to think about sustainability in community, and one of the companies that I work with now is called Strut Motors. They're building the euphemism of low-speed golf carts, essentially, in Los Angeles and here in Detroit. They will change the way we move in cities, and that's what it is. What does society need? How can we innovate and use technology to improve or address that moment in time?
No, go ahead. You know, what I love about this conversation is that we understand that American culture is Black culture. We also understand the impact that we have in terms of economics, but now us being on the design side and being able to influence and not just be consumers, I think is really important, and having people that are not just buying the stuff, but designing it, because if we can buy it, why can't we design it? Why can't we shape it? But go ahead.
That actually, I'm glad that you said that, because that's a perfect lean into the example that I was going to give. Well, first of all, it's good to be in Motor City, right? We're in Detroit.
Yes, yes.
So I'm going to share a specific story of a breakthrough experience that I was a part of the team in. And when you talk about consumerism versus a producer, a lot of times, and we're in the year of 2025, right? We're still one of the only ones in the room, right? Like, so the equity there, the voice that you have there is monumental. And I was a part of the team who, from the GT3 stemming, right, the race version of Mustang, turned into GTD, the supercar that we have on the road today. And the performance aspect of it, the materiality, the way that we came together from a cross-functional team, you know, and being one of, and being a part of, it doesn't feel like, in that moment, it doesn't feel like you're working for said brand. It feels like you're putting your own unique fingerprint, right, in that project, in that time. And obviously, the GTD wound up going to the Nürburgring in Germany, where they came sub-7. That was the first American supercar to perform that lap time. So numbers don't lie, right? And now GTD is on the road today, where you have someone like myself, right, who was a part of a team like that. So you think about breakthrough, you think about the accolades and the things that a large corporate company like that gets. You can't leave out who that small team was a part of, and I wear that with honor.
No, I love that. And just continue like down this path, I get you up to, what are some of the things that inspire y'all? What are some of the things, because we're going to talk a little bit about mentorship, but I'm really interested in what are the things when you were little girls that inspired you to do the work that you're doing now, or if you wanted to speak to your 18-year-old self?
Wow, I get inspired by a lot of things, and recently we watched the Pharrell documentary.
Oh man, I love that.
And I was like, oh, I gotta buy the rocket shoe. We gotta do, like we turned into Neptunes real quick in the living room. So number one is, for me, it's music. I get a frequency when I listen to certain realms and genres and vibes of music, it could be anything. It could be, you know, no words. It could just be the vibrations, the sound of the tunes and the pitches. Somewhere my ancestry has to have been a part of that because that's built in me. I feel it. So when I get inspired, first of all, I make a track list for me to get in a specific zone. Because I'm designing and I'm creating and I'm having this vision and I need to channel this vision out somehow, right? So normally I let my music guide me. And also in parallel, I have my background in fashion. That's where I started. I watch runway like never before. I think that the way that materiality and innovation comes in fashion first and then matriculates into longer lead time production things like automotive, because it takes 5 to 6 years to produce a car, when fashion is quick turnaround. I take that, the quick thoughts, although they weren't quick, not to diminish anyone's work, but I take that production and I take it into how can I translate and how can I innovate and how can I make sure that my own uniqueness and my own inspiration lends itself to the next big design.
I love that. I love that. I love that. What about you?
I think one of the things I want to leave people with is this iteration. Like the you that showed up when you were 20 or 25 is not necessarily going to be you when you're 40. So when I was going to do the thing, I was, you know, I'm a trial lawyer by training. But I went to college to be a biomedical engineer. Quick story, I was involved, I'm going to give my age away here, in the mid-'80s in the protests to divest universities' investments in South African mining. And I was part of these groups that chained themselves to the president's desk, and James Baldwin, the great James Baldwin, came to my campus after that experience, and we had gathered around him after the event, and we were telling him, I decided I was gonna be the spokesperson and tell him what we were doing, and he turned and said to me, "What's your major?" And I was very proud of myself. I said, "I'm a biomedical engineering major." And he kind of just did a, and he said, "You sound like an advocate." And that sentence literally changed my life. I walked away from engineering, went to law school, and practiced as a trial lawyer for 18 years. What I'm saying is, and now today, the work that I do is mobility advocacy. I believe that mobility, transportation, is a life determinant. Without it, you're not getting food, healthcare, clothing, society, anything that you need transportation. And I trademarked the phrase, transportation is mobility and mobility is freedom. I think of the auto as freedom, especially for people in America, but throughout the world. It gave you access and opportunity to anything that you could dream of. When you're thinking about what you want to do, it could be 2 or 3 or 4 careers. But what feeds your soul, for me, it's that advocacy. I'm passionate about what I do. I don't have to pump myself up. I feel it in my bones.
No, I love that. And, and I really think about tapping into your genius. How many people feel like they've been able to tap into their genius in their life? All right, I had a conversation with Seth Godin. He's one of the foremost marketing authorities in the world. And he said, Hodge, he said, the average person operates in their genius for about 5 minutes a day. And so he gave me an example. And so we started talking about Stevie Wonder, who had about 110 studio songs that he actually created. But he's known for about 10 songs. And so lots of times we work and we do a lot of stuff, but we're going to be known for a handful of things. So I think it's really important that as we listen to these ladies that we think about what is our zone of genius and the space that we're supposed to tap into. So as we start to think about, and this question is for Sarah, think of mentorship. Now I'm 53 years old. I'm getting reflective at this point, like in my life. I'm trying to think about the...
Welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to the League by Foxxtecca. Am is in the bag. It is done for Season 3. We await to see their Season 4 in a few weeks, a month's time. We turn our attention now, though, to the Pro Series. Morley Joff is not here tonight due to power issues. It is between David Toth and Roman Pascucci to take the glory in that Pro Championship. And there is 18 points separating them in the championship so far. What a shame that we don't get Marley Joff for what could have been an absolutely epic season finale. But Tristan, 2 drivers and a Roman Pascucci driver that, thankfully, due to Marley Joff's issues, has came into this championship to be that breath of fresh air and to take the fight to David Toth. Can David Toth, though, finally get it over the line and take that championship that I believe has eluded him so far? Because if season 1, I think it was his teammate that won the title.
Yeah, I think it was Ballas Palo who took the win in season number 1. So could be some redemption on the blocks here for David Toth. And like you mentioned, it's good to see that we did have Pascucci in there technically as a replacement, because if Joff wasn't here, it would be a bit of if Pascucci wasn't in this championship, it means that it would have been a bit of a runaway here for Toth to take the win. Let's have a look at the championship standings, though, for the Pro Series as we head into the final round for the championship. And this is going to be the important one to see where they all stack up. It is David Toth, as you can see, at the top spots with 541. Roman Pascucci is technically going to be in second this time around because he'll get the points in any case that will jump over Marley Joff with 523. So it is just a mere couple of points that separate P1 to P number 3. And so it is highly dependent on where they each finish. We'll have to see how that works out. Gal Valero is also not too far away. Only 23 points off of Roman Pascucci. Rodrigo Meets is next, followed by Nicholas Laubish, Joe Neshev, Tyler Carr, Kevin Rold, and Elon Johnson. And you can You can see the rest on your screen as they scroll through to see where everybody lies in the championship standings. Again, it's a little bit sad to see with the pros. We had a couple of drivers who didn't even attend 1 or 2 of the races in this series. So, I mean, they're paid to be by the league by Foxxtecca, and they didn't even get any kind of point on the board as we go through the rest of the championship standings. So unfortunate to see there, but it is something that happens, I guess, here or there in these championships. Let's hope to see a little bit more participation from all our drivers in season number 4 as we head into that, hopefully in not too long of a wait. David Toth is currently on a hot lap, and he's already going faster than his already set time of a 1:10.5, which is a lot faster than what we saw in the AMs. He's now going to break that down even further, it looks like, to a 1:10.4. So he is on for the money here today. Let's see if Pascucci can potentially try and get ahead of him here, down in 4th position.
So for Pascucci to win this championship, he needs to win the race, and David Toth needs to finish 4th or lower. As it stands at the minute, David Toth is on pole and Roman Pascucci is 4th place. So a lot needs to happen for Roman Pascucci out there to win this championship this afternoon. We cross our fingers, Tristan, for an absolutely all-time classic here at the league by Foxxtecca, and we'll see what happens come the race start. But David Toth has got the pace at the moment, and David Toth is one of them drivers that when he gets out front, he's hard to get by and hard to catch at times as well, as Valero moves up into 11th place. Tyler Carr moves up into P number 8, and Kevin Rold moves up into P15. While qualifying is just coming towards its end, I was looking at that AM series. I think you could easily promote 3 or 4 drivers. Parks Miller, I think you could bring Herschel up. I think Evan Davis could come into the pros. Possibly, maybe even 5 if you look at Sauber or Ramsey Jimenez as well to potentially come up from that. Troy Anderson was one who didn't finish the season, but if he was to come back, is he one that could come into the pros as well to add numbers to that grid? Just to obviously then make, obviously we've had the numbers at the start of the season, but if their mams come up, you know, they've got a chance to really show what they can do with the pro drivers here at Foxxtecca. But I'm looking at 4, 5, maybe even 6 drivers to potentially come into that pro class and try and battle with the top guys here. But Laubish moves up into 2nd place in qualifying. We'll see what happens as the seasons come on. Our sole Ferrari, the only car that isn't a Ford Mustang, that of Dennis Grabowski, moves up into P number 6, 4/10 off the pole, swiftly followed by Valero going into P6 himself, knocking that of Grabowski down the order just momentarily. Qualifying, 3 minutes left, so we'll get 1 or 2 more laps in for these drivers, but if you've been tuned into the pros most of the season, you'll notice that they're a lot calmer in the Pro Series. They wait for their opportunities to overtake, so that's sometimes been the occasional incident. But around this circuit, that's kind of the nature of the circuit, isn't it? So what are we expecting to see from these pro drivers?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm hoping to avoid is the pile-up we saw in the AM race coming into turn number 1. That was quite a bit of an eventful one, and again, it's something that typically happens with a bit of lack of track experience, especially with this being a newer circuit. I mean, the drivers did get a slight fair warning from the league admins before this race even began that turn number 1 is something to consider being a little bit more cautious towards, because it is incredibly tight as it heads into that second corner that goes deep into the street circuit styled racing. So it is a very pinch point style corner that you've got to watch out for, and I think the pros will handle it a little bit better. Although I say that, I'm just hoping not to see any kind of contact like we saw with the AM classes that unfortunately ruined the race of a couple of our drivers, Evan Davis included, who completely missed out on the championship due to obviously losing control of his car earlier on in the race. Garvalero is fastest on his time there in the final sector. Let's see if he can improve as well. And Benny in the virtual grandstand, yes, the Mustang Cup begins. Just to put the Ferrari on pole for us, please, fellas. Let's see if Grabowski can do it. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a difficult one there. Laubish from the Fiercely Forwards and Young and David Toth, they're all trying to get themselves a and away here in this race to take the win for the final time here. The final round of the league by Foxxtecca. To round us up for season number 3. And again, what an incredible season it's been for the pros here for throughout round 1 all the way to round number 8. There's been some good up and down racing, but all in all, we've had some good action in the pros.
We have indeed, as Pescucci's now down to 7th in qualifying. Rodrigo Meats just moved up into 3rd. Benny, I believe that is Benny Archer. You're an iRacing driver now. Are you fancying your chances next season, possibly in the AM or the pro category next season? Keep your eyes out on social media. Get involved, Foxxtecca. Be good to commentate on you again, my friend, and get yourself involved. See if we can get you on the grid. The final qualifying is done, though, for the season. David Toth will take that final pole position from Nicholas Laubish. Rodrigo Meats in P3 from Gal Valero, 4th place. Aidan Young is P5 from Dennis Grabowski. Roman Pescucci from Elon Johnson. Tyler Carr from Johan Neshev. Eric Holzband lining up alongside Zoe Ahmed in P12.
Yeah, P13th down with not too much of a stack grid here for the pros. It's Mayor Dianarine, followed by Russell Soto. Kevin rolled for the Superlap X-Days team, and then Gabriel Jones down 16th, and Rosalini Matisse in 17th for the number 15 car. He'll be starting at the backside of the grid. Only 17 cars will be taking to the starting grid for today's event. None of the other pros will be jumping in, and a couple of same procedure as the AMs. A couple of them would have been not allowed to race yet today if they missed the previous 3 rounds as a whole. They didn't race in them at all. It would not be fair to let them come and race in the final round. That could potentially affect the championship standings when they have absolutely nothing to lose. So again, it's a nice structure that we've got here for the league by Foxxtecca, one that I definitely agree with. And so that's why we have a slightly smaller grid. And like myself and Matthew were chatting about before we started with the pros, is that this is kind of a bit of a duck, duck, goose kind of situation. You know, as soon as one is tapped, the rest kind of just follow in the same order, and they're all kind of just sitting a bit of a snail train waiting to try and jump on an overtake. And from what we saw from the AMs, this track is incredibly difficult to make any kind of jump on, and so the pros are going to wait for that final dire moment to make a clean overtake happen. There's not going to be too much desperation that we'll be seeing in this race, especially not with this current grid of drivers. Very, very clean drivers here for the pros. The last of the bunch that will be taking to the grid. Our gantry lights are officially out and running, and our formation lap will begin here. The Mustang Cup with a Ferrari 296 in the mix, who's trying to get his daily workload in there. Right in the mix of things there for Grabowski, seeing what he can do for the Free M Esports team. And the rest of the Mustangs, we'll see who can take it up on top. But David Toth versus Roman Pescucci for your championship, with Gal Valero just trailing behind as well.
Indeed, they are. So on the formation lap, we start now for the final time this season. Drivers try and get their tyres prepared. I'll tell you another one that could be in the conversation for next season is the teammate of Marlon Joff, that of Aidan Young for the WSR Esports. He's come in and been pretty quick these last couple of weeks. And I tell you what, it's a good job we don't have commentary box cameras here, because you've currently got me sat with my hair all over a mess, and Tristan sat in his dressing gown at the moment because it's quite cold in South Africa. So it's a good job the commentary box can't be seen at this moment in time, but we are green and go for the final time this season. And look at the pack thundering down towards turn number 1. David Toth gets the exact start he needed in this race. 3 wide, Dennis Grabowski in the middle, about to be pinched. No, he's not. He drops back. Well done there from Dennis Grabowski. Cleanly through turn number 1. They all filter through. The Super Lap team, one by one they go. As look at the pack now, almost 3 or 4 wide, coming in towards that the middle part of the first sector. Pascucci in the all-pink Ford Mustang trying to find any window he possibly can to sneak through. And there's the spinner! Hard into the wall goes Gal Valero.
Yeah, Valero has just lost out on any chance to chase down on a podium in this championship. He goes all the way down to the backside. Yeah, he has Gal Valero in front. Was he possibly tapped from the rear? Or was this completely self-inflicted? And coming through, that looked like a bit of a netcode bump from Grabowski. Very much a netcode bump, and so that's forced him right side into the wall. And that's going to be damage on the right-hand side of that Mustang. But in any case, if there was damage or not, he's all the way down 8 seconds from the rest of the grid. So his race is pretty much done and dusted here to chase down on any kind of championship change-up. Young is currently in third, chasing down on Rodrigo Meets and Nicholas Laubish. Roman Pascucci did not get the start he wanted. He's currently holding down in 7th position, and currently 0 positions gained or lost, so exactly where he started, but was hoping for maybe 1 or 2 gained on the starting procedure there. Just didn't work out for him, and so he's going to have to work hard to get up towards David Toth, who's all the way up at the top spot in P number 1. And like we mentioned, if Pascucci does want to win this, he needs to be in P1, and David Toth needs to be P4 or below. If he's even in P3, he will still take the championship win yet. So this is pretty much in the hands of David Toth if he can keep this clean. A good move there for Pascucci. He gets 1 up there on Elon Johnson and chases down on the Ferrari that Benny so badly wants to see win this race, but it's a bit of a mission for Grabowski to climb this ladder. Already 1.2 seconds behind Nicholas Laubish and the likes of Aiden Young. The rest of our drivers all trying to peel off from behind and keep nice and close between each other to see who can take these final spots in the final round here of the Season 3.
Yeah, and David Toth has already done what he needs to do. He's got 2-second lead over Rodrigo Meets in this one at the moment. Young and Laubish hot in pursuit, but this is Pascucci, who doesn't seem to have the pace of the front runners at the moment. He's dropped to a second behind. Grabowski under pressure from Johnson, Carr and Neshev in the background. So Pascucci at the moment doesn't have the pace early doors. Long way to go though. Still some 57.5 minutes left in this race as they come back down in towards turn 1. Johnson closing in under braking there in the lovely orange, white and black livery through turn 1 into 2 now, and Pascucci just trying to fend off behind instead of mounting the attack further forward. Grabowski though has lost a bit of time to Nicholas Laubish. 1.6 seconds is that gap. Rold has just got past Jones, and this is Meets and Young going at it for second place. And I said it, didn't I, on the formation lap, David Toth, a very hard man to pass, but an even harder man to catch, and he's proving that already in this first 3 minutes.
Yeah, especially on a track so tight and technical like this. As soon as you've got that kind of gap, it's difficult for the drivers behind who are all fighting with each other to close down on that gap. So it's a bit of a difficult one here for Pascucci or even Young and Meets to catch up towards David Toth. Young is on an attacking position here to get ahead of Meets maybe in the next 1 or 2 laps here, but he's going to need to work hard for it. Laubish has also dropped off slightly, and then Grabowski 2 seconds behind already. So even once Pascucci gets past the Ferrari, he's going to have to work quite hard to get back up towards Nicholas Laubish, but it is early times in this race. Only a mere 3 minutes has gone by, and only 4 laps has been completed. Quite a lot of laps done here at St. Petersburg with such a short amount of time being spent out on circuit. About 1 minute and 11 seconds that you spend out on circuit, and so not a lot of time that each lap has got in it. Oh, almost losing control there on the backside is Neshev as he tries to peel through the first corner. Couple of chicanes now heading into that right-hander where that barricade is very much present on the left-hand side. Oh, somebody's blipping up in the front. Looks like it's Johnson. Let's hope it's a bit of a minimal blip, and it won't happen too much in the racing. We know how bad blipping can be, and on a street circuit, it's even scarier.
Yep, it is even scary. So you don't want blipping, like you said, on a normal circuit. But we'll see. Hopefully that blipping does stop in this race. It's coming through tight to the inside wall. You might see some of the pro drivers here just take them tighter lines through the wall. So if we're riding on board, it may look like they're about to clip it as we go to a replay further down the order. This is Gabriel Jones then. Coming through, just dropping the rear. Well avoided to not hit the wall on the back of the car. Clips it on the front though, as Gabriel Jones drops it through 1 into 2. So a little bit of damage there for Jones, but nothing too major for him. Maya Dianarine cooking up another fantastic livery I've just caught there in the background. Look at that, absolutely beautiful on Maya Dianarine's car. And Johan Neshev trying to get onto the back of Tyler Carr. There it is. Look at that, absolute beauty from Dianarine once again.
Looks like a bit of a flip actually from his previous livery. He had a bit of like the purplish yellow sunset vibes, and now we've got the more greenish Florida-style vibes for this final race. So definitely moving it to be very much positioned at the point of where the circuit is based. So a nice little Florida-style livery coming in there for Dean. And let's see if he can hold out towards the end of this race. 5 minutes has only gone by. 55 minutes still to go, and an entire pit stop strategy that needs to be completed by our drivers. Yeah, David Toth already 3 seconds up on the rest of the field, and he is locking down his win in this race. If he can just keep himself nice and consistent at the top, there's unfortunately not much that everybody else can do. Also down from 11th to 17th. It is all white figures on the left-hand side, meaning over a second has already been generated. So not much battling going on beyond the top 10. Although there is still a good battle for the top 5 over here. You can see the train is long all the way from Grabowski down to Dean. And hopefully we'll see some switch-ups. Yep, Pescucci does need to get ahead of Grabowski, though, and then chase down on Laubish if he wants any chance at contesting this championship. Otherwise, it is going to be a free runaway here for David Toth. And I've got to say, that entry curb is very dangerous for most of these drivers. You can see it's super dented in the middle, and that's what's forcing the Ford Mustang to bounce all over the place. So if you take just a bit too much curb, it will completely throw the rear end out, and that's what we've seen both in the AMs and the pros. Jimmy Carroll done it, did it a couple of laps ago, in the AM race, and then just a couple of laps ago, another one of the pro drivers also just did it. So you've got to be very careful of that turn 2 curb, as it is nicely indented and is there to completely mess up the suspension of your car, as Pescucci still not able to get ahead of Grabowski in these early dire moments.
Being that Jones is registering as out, so we've lost our first driver of the race here. That'll give Gal Valero extra couple of points in this one for his championship run, as Pescucci now getting closer under braking in towards the hairpin corner at the very end on that of Denis Grabowski, the sole Ferrari out there, who is trying to just keep ahead of this pack of Ford Mustangs. I believe this might be Grabowski's best finish of the season if it stays this way at the moment, but is 1.9 seconds off the back of Nicholas Laubish, who himself has dropped 1.7 off the back of Young, who is still putting the pressure on Rodrigo Meets, the Chilean driver, further forward. Slow down for Tyler Carr coming in. So must have just taken a little bit of track limits through 1 or 2 there. You can see him slowing down, but also defending that inside line, which should help him to keep that position. And slow down still not gone just yet, so must have took a lot of curb to get the track limits. And he's going to want to remove that before he ends up getting some form of penalty here. He's got that of Neshev and Dean right behind him. There you see that of the orange, black and white car. Slow down gone, so he's cleared it. Back to this fight for P5. Grabowski, Pescucci, Johnson. Here comes Neshev looking to the outside line of that of Tyler Carr. Couldn't make the move done. Now Dean trying to find his way through. There's your battle for P5. We'll just stay single file for this moment in time. 8.5 minutes on the clock at this moment, though. David Toft doing everything he needs to do to take this championship here at the final race of the Pro Series.
Yeah, 3.2 seconds up ahead already at such an early stage of the race. He is pretty much solidifying himself here for a good result, and seeing if he can bring it home for the final time in season number 3. And hopefully in season number 4, we maybe get to see 2 of the Sesha Esports drivers. We do miss the presence there of Ballas Pala. He disappeared since season number 1, and so maybe we get to see him reappear for season number 4. Obviously there's entry fees and stuff, so maybe the Sesha team deciding to rather just limit the costs there and take in 1 driver. So maybe winning this championship would potentially allow them to add in 1 more driver into the equation for season number 4. That would be good to see. A little bit more cars out on the grid for the pros, and maybe a couple more of the American drivers, so that we can have a couple more people in our virtual grandstand joining in with myself and Matthew. I know most of our drivers here in the Pro Series are very much in the European side of the world, and also a couple of them in Asia. And so that leads to most spectators and family members and supporters currently fast asleep. It's 3 a.m. in South Africa for me, 2 a.m. in the UK for Matthew, and then also slightly later on the board there for places like Australia and Asia. So the only places that are quite, okayish to watch at this time of night is probably the Americas, sitting closer to 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night at the moment. So that's why we see the AMs getting such nice viewership. Lots of American drivers there and lots of American supporters earlier on in the evening. Gets a little bit later on, though, with the pros. Whoa! And there's a dive, and Pescucci's been taken out by Elon Johnson. And I don't know if that was a little bit too aggressive, but Pescucci is gone, and so is Neshev. Both of them are gone and off the grid. And so it looks like Vespucci's dominoed into Neshev behind. Was this a bit of a late maneuver up on the inside line here? And it just looked like it was just a bit too much of a love tap on the rear there. And where was the contact that happened with Neshev? Oh, Neshev was just there, stuck on the right. So I think Neshev spun off earlier, and that's unfortunate.
I think Neshev actually got caught out by the car reversing backwards. Look, just ran a little wide. Yeah, got blocked almost, didn't he, by that of Vespucci not being able to go anywhere. And it was like, you first, no, me, you. Who's going to leave the track first? But yeah, both have tumbled down the order, and that's really going to give the championship to David Toff. Here is Johan Neshev. Look, way, nowhere to go. And you reverse? No, yeah, off you go. Yeah, thank you very much. And back to racing, there you go. So they're still in this race. Neshev down in 12th, Vespucci down in 11th. So we'll keep our eyes on Vespucci's progression now through the field. Johnson on the rear of Dennis Grabowski. So that pressure hasn't let up for Grabowski then. Still got the Ford Mustang of Johnson behind him coming through. And Tristan, at this moment, while there's a little bit of a lull in the race, so to speak, what would you like to see on the calendar for next season? Because there's a few tracks I was looking at the other day that could make for interesting racing next season. Sadly, Kyle is still not there.
No, I was going to say my number one result is always going to be the one that's not available because, Kyle Army's still not featuring. Hopefully that's in the plans for iRacing's next laser scan track to maybe bring it to the circuit. A good contester always for GT3s is Spa, and we always see Spa on the boards. I think we've seen it in almost every season so far for the league by Foxxtecca. I think it's just the true test on these cars. A track I really do like for GT3 racing, two tracks in particular. The one I don't know if iRacing has got, I know Watkins Glen, great circuit for GT3s, and I know that iRacing has got it. And then a second one of my favorites for GT3 racing is Zolder, but I don't know if iRacing has actually got Zolder on their platform. Zolder is an incredible circuit. Yes, they do have Zolder. So hint, nudge, nudge. Zolder, also a very technical circuit, a little bit of curbs that can make or break your day. Very nice circuit, in my opinion, for racing. And I'm trying to think, what else? I know you'd probably say Donington or Sexton or some of the...
We've had Donington, so no, I'm gonna leave Donington. I'd like to see Thruxton. GTs don't actually race at Thruxton in the UK, but I think that could provide some great racing action. And one I'd really like to see is the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez circuit, the Mexican Formula One track. Yeah. I think that could be an interesting race.
I've seen some GT3 racing there. It's really good.
Circuit Gilles Villeneuve's also another one of mine, the Canadian Grand Prix circuit.
And,
I don't know whether it'd be good for GT3s, but I just love that circuit.
It's not bad. Zandvoort as well. Very, very nice circuit for GT3s. Nice little bit of embankment to bring in.
I'd love to see Interlagos make a return because that race this season was off the charts.
I think Interlagos is going to be burned into the side of Foxxtecca. That was possibly the best race this season.
That needs to be Foxxtecca's home circuit, if you will. That's their location that's always on the calendar because that race was just incredible.
Yeah, no, that race was absolutely amazing. I like the good old American circuits, but we feature most of them, I think, here at the league by Foxxtecca. We've seen quite a couple, obviously, the last one here being, Benny says Sonoma in the virtual grandstand, also a nice little circuit for GT3 racing. It would be a very, very weird circuit for GT3s is if we throw a good old Long Beach in here for GT3 racing. That would be crazy. That would be very crazy.
I think I was having this discussion with Sam, who helps Chris organise this from Apex. Is getting closer. Johnson on the back of Grabowski, and somebody had mentioned something like Long Beach, and then Sam said another street circuit, and I went, you may. I don't think Monaco's on this on the iRacing, but I said you may as well just chuck Monaco in there and be done with it. And have 3
literally.
Races at the streets, because that would be absolutely crazy. Fuji Speedway, that's always a great track for GT
Speedway
racing.
Is good.
Great.
Algarve's also really good. Algarve is a nice one. Portimao. I don't know. We didn't see that this season. So Portimao's also a nice little circuit for GT3s. I'm trying to think of Arctic Fox, which is Ramsey Jimenez, says, let's bring back VIR. I'm not going to lie to you. VIR is so common for me. I feel like it features everywhere. Like
that was my first time ever doing VIR last week. So.
Oh, wow.
The one I always see around is Road Atlanta, but I think Road Atlanta is a brilliant circuit.
It is. No, it's really good. It really is good. Red Atlanta is really... It's well suited for WEC format racing as well. It's great for multi-class out on the board. VIR, my goodness, I think VIR was the first ever iRacing track I did broadcasting on, and that was in 2024. So that was That was a while ago now. That's been a repetitive track that I've done so far. Nice, but it's a good track though. I'm not going to lie to you. It's nice and technical. The whole SS section all the way up to Oak Tree. Nice and Made in Arena saying Indianapolis. I don't know about that. I'm also not a fan of Indy.
Depends on which format of Indy you're looking at, because I do like both, but I'm an Indy fan. I think Indy would be good. I'd love to. We're never going to get this circuit out there, but Not Kill as a British touring car lover.
Not Kill.
Not Kill. It would be. It'd be terrible for GT3s, but it'd be absolutely great drama to see.
I've got to start doing some Googling here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm flicking through iRacing's website at the moment to see what else there is, but I like Mugello. Mugello's another one I think could be a really entertaining race. I think
looks like Omet is agreeing with you. She says Not Kill.
Yes, well done, Omet. I'm looking at the way. I think me and you could put together quite the calendar for next season. I really do. If we chucked Zolder in there, Adelaide's just been recently added to iRacing, so Adelaide could be the street circuit we go to next year.
That's cool.
If we do get Benny Archer on the grid, maybe chuck in an Australian circuit. Would you rather Adelaide over Bathurst or go to Mount Panorama over Adelaide?
But Mount Penny is also such a good circuit for GT3s, dude.
We'll see what happens. Johnson slow over the back of Grabowski, though, into the final corner. Rolder's just got past Matisse, down the order for 13th and 14th. Holzband now gets past Matisse as well. Looks like he's got a bit of damage on the car there, does Matisse, on the front right. That's crabbing ever so slightly. So made contact with something, possibly the wall, I'm going to assume. We'll see if Amet can find a replay. But yeah, me and you could put together one heck of a calendar. I think we need to chuck a night race in there as well.
Oh, a night race as well would be good. Here's a replay. Oh, there's a big knock on the rear side there of Rossellini Matisse, and that's why he landed up with a bit of rear end damage. Oh, he already had a bit of front end damage, though, and that's why he's squabbling all over the place. And on the outside line was the overtake there from Halsband just to get up ahead. This is the funniest thing I think I've ever seen, but Omet is going to be starting a Twingo Spec Series League on AC. If you don't know what a Twingo is, do yourself a favor and go Google a Renault Twingo. It might just be the ugliest car you've ever seen in the world, and it's definitely not made for on-track racing. But you know that's just something Omet wants to do. She wants cursed tracks for it. So even anyone in the virtual grandstand, if you can think of a very weird circuit for a Renault Twingo to race on, imagine.
I don't know any. I tell you what, I'm commentating at Donington Park in 2 weeks' time. Not virtually, the actual circuit. I'm there. If anybody knows what a Ford KA is, I'm commentating on a 5-hour endurance race of Ford KAs. Now, in the UK, we call them a hairdresser's car.
The Ford car.
Yeah, the Ford car. Yeah. So we've got the Enduro KA, or the Enduro car, I believe it's called. 5-hour race of Donington Park, and I'm doing the live broadcast and circuit commentary. So that should be riveting in 2 weeks' time. But there we go. Arctic Fox, what's been your guys' favourite livery of the season? Well, I was going to say I've enjoyed a few Maya Dienarines. I've enjoyed your crayon coloured in one, Ramsey. I think yours has been brilliant. I think I'm going to have to give it Tanner just because I was on it, and I feel like I'd upset him if I didn't say Tanner. So I'm going to have to give Tanner's livery from tonight my vote for livery of the season.
Oh, of course you would. You know, I think if you didn't, I think Tanner would come back and make something even worse for season number 4.
By the way, I went into the chat to congratulate Tanner in the mid-break session, and Langley was in there, the #1 Fin fan that you see in the chat at times, and he went, "Whoever your producer is did a really good job of zooming in on you with no top on the rear of Tanner's car." And I went, "Yeah, tell me about it."
Literally, man, you saw every fine detail in that one. It's funny that you say you're heading over to go do some of the real life stuff in, I think, sometime end of October. I'm heading over to a local South African circuit, which again would be such a great circuit to have on iRacing, but it's a Red Star Raceway out in Delmas here in South Africa. Nice little bit of racing for all things general purpose. I think I'm doing some historic inlands, so some 1970s to 1990s. So that's also going to be super cool. But for tonight, we're here with the GT3s. Apologies for getting sidetracked, ladies and gentlemen. The pro racing is a little bit stale at this time with all of our drivers kind of just in a train. So we're finding some cool things to have a chat about. And it looks like Catastrophic has looked up the Renault Twingo, and she thinks it'll be hilarious to watch. I think you shouldn't be watching. I think you should be joining. I think you should hit up Omet and let her know you want to join in on the Twingo League. You want to be a brand ambassador of the Twingos.
Indeed. I've just looked up Red Star Raceway. Get that on iRacing. Geez, that looks a lovely circuit. That looks fantastic.
Super technical.
Yeah, that looks beautiful. Get that on iRacing. That'd be brilliant. Pascucci then, P10 on the back of Russell Soto, coming through the middle sector towards the final corner. They go now. Late on the brakes, Pascucci tries to go, but Soto hugs that inside line at the moment and manages to fend off Pascucci, does Russell Soto, who's been here since season one of the OGs of the league by Foxxtecca. Russell Soto doing a cracking job as always, running up in P9 at this moment in time. Closest battle on the circuit is this one. So just going to see what else is out there. Good to hear these goated commentators. We do class ourselves as the dream team. We're not going to lie. So, yeah, thank you very much, Ramsey, for the kind words.
True.
Mayor's Brazil livery. Yeah. Do you know the thing, Declan? Because while you're in the chat, Mayor, I don't know, does he do his own liveries or does someone do them for him? Because the last 2 seasons, I still have to say, his Sakura pink livery from Suzuka last season in the Mercedes has still been probably by far the nicest livery I've seen at Foxxtecca. But whoever does them liveries does such a good job because Mayor's car is always on point.
Yeah, no, I have to agree with him there. He always matches it. Oh, no! There's contact. Oh, that's Soto hard into the barrier there. He's just been forced off by Pascucci, and he's going to drop off completely there. That is very unfortunate for Soto. Thankfully, he recovered quite quickly, but still not something you want to see. Was this a force up on the inside line here by Roman Pascucci, or did he run out wide? Coming up to the braking markers, Pascucci does brake later. He's already up on the inside line there now. I think it's a bit late there from Pascucci. Yeah. You didn't even see him alongside. And that's forced Soto to face some hard right-hand side damage. You can see the bonnet has also lifted slightly. Very unfortunate to see there. But yeah, no, Declan just does a good job at matching the livery to the actual occasion and the event. There you see the front end damage. That is quite hefty on the front of that car. Catastrophic saying, I just learned how to drive on a sim. It'll be a while before I join races. No, that's a terrible excuse. A Twingo is like a bike with training wheels. I don't think you need any kind of practice to drive a Twingo. I think you got to get in on it. You got to get in on it. Come on.
Caitlin's partner has actually just been teaching her how to do some racing. Took him round Silverstone National on Le Mans Ultimate. I can't remember what car they was in, but was teaching us to drive around there. So yeah, Caitlin, hopefully we'll see her on the grid very soon. Get iRacing, get yourself involved in the league by Foxxtecca. Out there in the AM category. Declan, he does. Cherry Blossom was good. Mayor does his own liveries. There we go. So Mayor.
Wow, okay.
Jeez, yeah, fair play.
Talent.
To have the time to go into the detail that he does in his liveries and still be as good a driver as he is, he's fantastic.
Yeah, no, he really does have a bit of a multi-class talent there. And talking about him, he has had a phenomenal clean drive here so far in this race. I mean, Dianarin started down in 13th. He's all the way up to 7th at the moment, just from maintaining himself well up in the race at the moment in 7th. As he's chasing down on Tyler Carr in 6th position. This is now Russell Soto on his recovery drive after being knocked off slightly there by Roman Pascucci, seeing what he can do. Eric Hulsband a bit further behind him in 12th. That's 2 of the Super Lap cars, seeing what they can do on the backside and seeing what they could potentially recover in this race. Grabowski up in 4th at the moment. And this is looking good, though, for Benny, because we may be able to see a potential Ferrari up on the podium blocks. Unfortunately, it's 8.6 seconds to Young. So it's quite a bit of a long travel there for Grabowski to get any kind of podium, but there is definitely a potential for him, although Johnson is putting quite a lot of pressure behind in 5th position. So let's see if Johnson can get up ahead. 24 minutes into this race, our pit window opens quite late at the circuit. We saw around about the 38-minute marker, so still a bit of time before we get started on pit stops. For the time being, it's all just going to be focus. And all that looks like a bit of crabbing coming from Rosalini Matisse's car on the back straight. So, yep, and there he loses it. That is why that huge amount of rear end damage. And around he goes on turn 1. And he's just trying to get off the circuit to make sure he's not a hazard to anyone else. That's a bit of a far reverse, if you have to ask me. And now he's going to get back going on the circuit to continue his racing action.
Laubish is pitted on lap 18 of this race. Now, we know you can go a little later into the race here. Has Laubish done an early stop to try and go longer in his second stint, do we think, to maybe look to undercut a few drivers? There's Matisse here, just needs to get in and get that damage repaired. In fact, he is into the pits at the moment. Kevin Rold also in. So has Laubish decided to pull the trigger and just maybe pit a little earlier, knowing that he can go longer in the stint? We'll keep our eyes on that, whether he's kind of like flipped the pit strategy almost, and we'll see if Laubish can do anything here. But he's down in 13th place. Was obviously running up in 4th, just ahead of Denis Grabowski. And is now going to try and, with that clear air, and he's got a lot of clear air to work with. So we'll see what Nicholas Labish can do in this race.
Yeah, bit of an odd one there coming from Nicholas Labish. We're only at lap 22 at the moment. From what we saw at the AM class, we finished around lap 51. So still a heap load of laps to come here. And if Labish is going to be holding on until the end, those tires are going to be pretty much shot right up towards the backside. And so we'll have to see how that's going to manage, how he's going to manage with the competitors around him throughout the leg end of this race. We are approaching the halfway mark with about 5 minutes left to go until the halfway. And so that's when the drivers will begin to realize not much time left on the board yet to make those final positions, especially considering that there's no race next week. This is the final one for round number 8. And so this is the final chance to get your name on the board and get some positions going. And once again, a huge thank you to all the amazing sponsors here at the League by Foxxtecca. The African American Automotive Association has been with us here for a couple of seasons, and they'll continue to support and push on strong with Chris Harris leading the flagship there, Dakins Designs. For all of those who may not have a dedicated design team and such skill like Mayadi and Noreen out on track and in Photoshop, and may need a little bit of assistance, and they're there to provide it. Superlap, obviously, here, they're out on the track and also providing their assistance in the background. And then Roasted Records, your overnight fuel provider to all of these drivers, making sure that they can keep their eyes peeled and make sure that they stay nicely awake towards the leg end, especially for the pro class racing, because it is much later on in the evening for your European drivers. David Toth currently in Hungary. That is pretty much in the same time zone as myself, so roughly 3 a.m. in the morning for David Toth, and he's actually about to win a championship. So let's hope that David Toth can keep on strong these final couple of minutes before he gets to close it off. Grabowski still holding off from Johnson here, and he's got quite a bit of competition to hold off from. David Toth, there you can see up in front, has already gotten past one lapped car so far, it looks like. And there you can see Rodrigo Meets and the likes of Aiden Young in the background trying to catch up.
I met it after a Toyota MR2 AW11, I assume, saying that give me that on any game and I'm yours, except AC. And Benny Volga agrees with that one. So there we go. Benny Archer agrees with that one. So there we go. I met once the nice Toyota to make it appearance. We've got a lot of new GT3 cars coming out that could be interesting to see what iRacing add to their package. We've obviously got the new Toyota coming next year. I believe we've got a new version of a Mercedes-Benz coming. We still don't have the new Lamborghini yet on iRacing's platform. So, you know, if iRacing get these cars onto their platforms, you know, we could start to see some new GT3 cars being rolled out. And be interesting to see what comes in future seasons of the League by Foxxtecca. It's Johnson there who has got past Grabowski, just brushed the wall momentarily there. So very little done, maybe just a little dent or two over the wheel arch of the rear right of Johnson's car. But Grabowski still trying to fight hard in that Ferrari and move himself forward a little bit more. Young's dropped off the back of Rodrigo Meets, 28 minutes into this race. I'd take a Honda Civic touring car over anything, to be fair. I'd love to see them go around racing, but that's just me. As down the start finish straight, Pescucci's got himself ahead of Dianarin. Moves back up into 7th place now. So Pescucci, there they are in the background, gets himself past Mayor Dianarin and moves up to his starting position once again. So Pescucci is back where he started and has all that work to do once more.
Yep, he's going to have to try and work for it in 7th as he gets ahead of the driver there of Mayadina Reed. Just in those previous corners, he has your replay of him getting ahead. Looks like it's into the Parabolica style final corner of turn 14. Oh, bit of a late one as well. Bit of a nudge on the inside of Mayadina Reed. Nowhere that Mayadina Reed can go for that one. He gets forced out, and so that's one spot up there for Pescucci to chase down on David Toth, although the seconds between them are quite large at the moment, so not too much of opposition coming in for David Toth there. Yeah, lots of introductions coming into Toyota package that brings the Toyota V8 Supercar, the GT4 and the GR GT3 all at the same time. That's going to be quite a nice little package. There's also that new BMW M4 touring car for the GT3s that's also got released, so that's quite cool. Yes. And potentially we get to see as well as that gets released. So nice couple of new additions. And man, I really want them to redo the Lexus. Such a brilliant car. I used to love driving that car. I mean, I love driving it in LMU. ACC, it was heavily outdated and quite slow in modern BOPs, but in LMU, it's fortunately supported. And so you can actually race it and be competitive in it. But I know as far as I know iRacing, the RCF does not feature. And so hopefully they bring that car back, maybe even an Audi R8 LMS Evo 3. Maybe if Audi dedicates a bit of budget to GT3 again. You know, everything is on Hülkenberg and Gabriel Bortoleto at the moment in F1. So they've dumped away their GT3s. They're not supporting it anymore. But hopefully in the future we see a little bit more love from Audi in the GT3s and, you know, just for Matthew's sakes, the Acuras as well.
Yeah, Acuras, Hondas, whatever brand name they want to go by, yeah, either one will do me. If it's an NSX or if it's something new, that'd be absolutely brilliant. We did have an NSX, but 2 seasons in a row now. We had an Audi last season that started and didn't finish. We had an Acura this season that started and didn't finish. And both our beloved cars just haven't got to the end of the championship, sadly. But, 16 cars remain in this race, just over the halfway stage now, waiting to see the pit runners, the leaders come in to make their pit stops. And we'll see what happens in this one. Very surprised that we don't have the Lexus on here. Obviously, iRacing being an American owned simulation, with the Lexus being quite dominant in IMSA. Very surprised we haven't seen a Lexus on the grid in this platform, or on this version of sim racing games that are available out there worldwide. So very surprised to not see a Lexus, but let's see what happens and what comes in the future. It'd be great to see what we do get in the near future that obviously will be coming out over the next couple of years, as well as iRacing then can develop and get out there cars, tracks, because there's still a lot of circuits missing from the iRacing platform itself. So we'll wait and see what is to come. But Denis Grabowski still sticking with that of Johnson, trying to obviously get a little bit closer and make his way further forward. Godzilla, Benny's just said in the chat, so no Nissan GTR on the grid as well. So that'd be another addition that would be absolutely fantastic to see. There's Johnson there, really clattering the curb quite hard and manages to keep the car pointing in the right direction. Runs a little deep though at the hairpin and has allowed Grabowski to just get a bit closer at the moment. And popular but I'm a Lexus hater, find the engine note really annoying in sim and in real life.
You should ban Illusory, I'm not going to lie to you.
You had a good fight. You had a good fight with him in an LMU race on another channel. You had a good fight with Wellington Jimenez in the 2 Porsches. It was really nice. But yeah, he's a strange character. He's at VIR this weekend for the IMSA race. I know he's at VIR with Gordon, with Ramsey. Sorry, this weekend. So that should be good for them. Go and watch some GT racing there. But Young on the back of meat still. That's half a second. Grabowski getting under that half a second mark to Johnson. We've got Laubish gaining on Holzband as well.
It's so mad saying.
I tell you what.
Oh my gosh!
I've just read that we've either got Jim Cunningham in our ears telling us a load of jokes and making us giggle on comms, or Ahmet just typing it in the chat.
Yeah, no, that almost killed me now, and I fully agree with Ahmet. I mean, how could you hate that beautiful big 7-liter Lexus engine? I mean, that thing is gorgeous, dude. It's amazing to hear. It's like the Merc engine, you know. But yeah, it's a pity to see that there's a couple of cars that kind of just got dumped off the waistline after ACC. The Nissan GTR 2018 model was the last one featured in ACC, and it hasn't really come to any of the later sim platforms like iRacing or the likes of LMU. Obviously, LMU is very specific on WEC, and I don't think the Nissan GT3 race in WEC. This is Rossellini Matisse just completely overshooting here, and into the runoff area they go. We'll have to try and recover here all the way at the backside, seeing what they can do. And Lucy already saying, absolutely did you at Monza. I'll let you know that I had 45 minutes of practice at Monza, all right? That was the first time I'd set my pedals for LMU with my new sets and stuff, all right? Okay, bro. So I best be coming after you in the next season of LMU when I actually can dedicate more time to it.
Oh, geez, that's crazy from him. Wow. Laubish on the rear of Holzband here. Great to see some chat in the virtual grandstand as well. It's great to see it so active during the pro race as well. So, thank you all for being in the virtual grandstand throughout the evening. If you've been with us all night or if you've joined us for this pro race, really does help me and Tristan have a few bits to talk about if the action is a little bit quiet, like we're seeing at the moment. But Nicholas Laubish looking to flash the lights a little bit more at Eric Holzband here, who is yet to pit, and this isn't what Laubish would have wanted to make his progression further through the field, because Holzband, as he goes for a dive, gap's going to close, and he doesn't make contact, thankfully, there for Nicholas Laubish. Manages to just break in time. Pascucci's gaining on Tyler Carr as well for P6. But this is the main fight to keep our eyes on at the moment. Holzband for the Superlap Phase team doing a good job at the moment, but Nicholas Laubish, with the lion roaring on the back of his car, is trying to make up 1 or 2 more positions here.
Yeah, you see Alusor is scared now to verse me. He switched to a hypercar for the next season of LMU because he knows I'm too warmed up for next season. So he switched off from the GT3s. No, I'm kidding. I actually need to try my hand, get my hands wet for the hypercars and the LMPs and stuff in LMU. But I've always just been a GT3 guy, so I've got to experiment a little bit. This is not working out for Laubish, I've got to say to you. It was a good strategy, but being stuck behind the other drivers now who have not pitted yet, it's forcing his hand to be slightly slower there. He's now going to go. I think he's forced him off. That almost looked like Halsband went into the barrier from that perspective. Indeed, he did. He's 7 seconds behind. And Halsband has been forced right into the barrier there. No space for him to run off from. I'm not too sure whose fault this is going to be. I think Halsband tried to stay around the outside. Laubish is definitely there. It's just a little bit too much, and there he's had to slam the brakes before hitting the barrier. So unfortunate there for Halsband. He gets forced out. That corner is very tricky for overtaking because you cannot run out wide for it. You have to become narrow in a single fire running. So unfortunately for him, he does get booted down from Laubish. And now Laubish can try and run away with that early pit stop. Let's see if it's going to benefit him. Ahmad, Neshev, Dianarine, all of them up ahead. They all still need to pit with the pit window opening up shortly. 38 minutes will be closing in the next 2 minutes.
Indeed it will. I tried my hand in an LMP3, the 4 hours of Spa at the weekend on Le Mans Ultimate. And we'll leave it at that. We don't need to ask how it went. We'll leave it at that one. But Dennis Grabowski all over the back of Johnson once more here through the final corner. There you go. Johnson, he's going into the pit lane. I thought was just about to lose the rear end of the car, but he's turning into the pits. Love a good racetrack that's got a really awkward pit entry like that one, where you've got to come out the final corner. Your natural line is to go to the outside. You've got to try and hold it tight enough to come into the pits. I love an awkward pit lane. But yeah, this is going to be interesting to see. Now, we'll get to see if Nicholas Laubish has done enough to get past Johnson and Dianarine in this race. So Ahmed stays out once again. Nicholas Laubish will jump them both as well, so moves back up into 8th place. So maybe lost a bit of time behind that of Eric Holzband, but so far, Laubish on the move at the moment. Zohair Ahmed running in 7th place. Great to see Zohair back for yet another season. The Pakistani driver out there. As Johnson and Dianarine leaving the pit lane now. Here's Rodrigo Meets running in 2nd place. Cleared Young by 1 second, so has pulled the gap at the moment. And yeah, so far so good. If you're David Toth and Rodrigo Meets, because you've got a pretty comfortable guy. And to be fair, Young as well, you're all sitting pretty comfortably in that top 3. We'll see if Nicholas Laubish has done enough to gain on them at all when the pit stops come around. So let's see what happens in this one a little later on. Into the pits comes Dennis Grabowski in the sole Ferrari out there for his stop. 38 minutes, 13 seconds on the clock. Grabowski into the pits, as is Johan Neshev.
Yeah, I'll see a couple more drivers diving in now for that pit stop strategy. We are at the window, and you can see that Ahmad has also joined in 7th position to jump into the box. The top runners look to be holding on for a little bit longer, and so we'll see how they will eventually fare into the pit lane. Laubish is going to get all those positions back from the huge undercut, and into 5th position he will go. The question is, has he been faster at the back in the clean air compared to the rest of the drivers? He's definitely not going to take over from David Toth, and I don't think Rodrigo Meets as well, but it is going to be highly dependent here with the likes of Young and Pascucci. They've all been fighting it out with each other. There we now see Toth into the pit lane. He goes. Rodrigo Meets. It looks like he is going into the pit lane with, and so does the likes of Young. Where does Pascucci land up? Is he going to be going in, or is he going to stay out? Ahmad comes out of the pit lane now in 13th position. Laubish is on that hunt to potentially get these overtakes with the undercut strategy. Pascucci is just about to close in, and there we do see into the pit lane he jumps here. So what will Laubish get as a result here? It's going to be a hard climb for him. Most of our drivers just into the pit lane now. David Toth will be your first out of these top 4, and so that's going to be the benchmark for where Laubish is going to meet with the rest of the pack. David Toth already off the jacks, and out of the pit lane he goes. Here comes Laubish around the final corner, and just closing in on the drivers, but Meets and Young are already out. It looks like he might just get Pascucci, and indeed he is. So the undercut somewhat works. Laubish moves up into 4th. He'll be on way warmer tires compared to the rest, so you'll catch up slightly at Young, but I don't think it's going to be enough to get the overtake into the podium.
Yeah, Laubish has come out. exactly where he was before he pitted. So he's gambled on something, and I respect that. To be fair from him, he's took the gamble, and it didn't quite pay off as he was hoping to, because he's still 6 seconds off the back of Young. Meats actually got a little bit closer to Toff and pulled away more from Young. Valero and Holzband into the pit lane as well, so that puts Denery back up to 10th and Zoe Ahmed into 11th place. Then Russell Soto's coming through. He moves back up into 12th. Kevin Roll back up into 13th, and Holzband, I believe, has jumped that of Valero in the pit. Bit of a blip there for that of Johnson, who has came out behind Piscucci and behind Grabowski then. So Johnson there, not the pit stop he would have wanted, as here comes Gal Valero. Up the inside, he's having a look on Kevin Rold. Doesn't make the move there. Rold on the rear of Holzband as well. So a little three-way fight here in the Pro Series at the moment. And Rold looking to try and get the up and under on Holzband, but couldn't do so through this tricky tight middle sector. Although Holzband just bounces off the wall a little bit there. It looked like that's allowed Roll to get through, and this could give that of Holzband the chance to get through as well. Contact and sideways. That's coming through the left-hand kink. They've gone through the kink, not even the tightest part of the circuit. Holzband's gone slow to possibly allow that position back for the black and red Ford Mustang of Gal Valero. But Valero there, look, not quite sure what Holzband were doing. Yeah, he's a little slow through the kink. Does Valero come across maybe a little bit too much? Holzband was a little slow, had that tighter line. Yeah, tricky to say. But oh, look at that from above. That looks even better from above for Mayor Denery in their gorgeous looking livery.
Yeah, the livery is really shining at this point around Florida. Oh, that's a replay actually, and Denery jumps right again and misses the breaking point. Into the runoff area he goes. Is the same going to happen to Rosalini Matisse again? This is, the spin-off just up in front with Valero. And this is where he gets ahead of Valero, actually. And then, and he misses his jump. So, I don't know, Matisse, that's the second time he's done that tonight. So, he misses his braking marker and moves right off of the racing line there. So, avoids the contact. Could have potentially gotten an easy overtake, but then completely misses it and has to redirect to not make contact with the tire barriers. So, bit of an odd one there for Rosalini Matisse, and coming up towards the end of the race here, you don't want to be continuously running off the road like this. So, unfortunately, therefore, Matisse, he will have to get back up on the circuit and try the running order yet again. 42 minutes into this race, just about 17 minutes left to go here. Not a lot of time for these drivers left. And looking at that order, unfortunately, Piscucci is down in 6th position. Toff is all the way up in P1. It is pretty much confirmed here for David Toff to take the championship, and that one will not need any kind of post-race stewardship or post-race analysis. It's pretty much certain that David Toff is going to have this. He's had zero contact this entire race and has led this from the start to the end. And now all he needs to do is make it to the end nice and cleanly within the rest of this race. Rodrigo Meats, is going to continue to try and close in on him, but it's not looking too good at the moment. It's all the way up to 4 seconds now between the two of them. So Toth just running away at this point. Young and Laubish currently in 4th position. Laubish on that mission to hunt down on Young, but it's also not looking too good in his favor here, with Grabowski down in 5th, holding off from Piscucci, who is probably going to try and get the dive done in the next couple of corners. Yeah, the more positions that Piscucci can get, the better he defends his championship here between the rest of the drivers. Or the only driver behind him is Gal Valero, all the way down in 14. So he's pretty much going to maintain 3rd here. Obviously, the more points he gets, the better the jump you'll get on Marley Joff in 2nd. But in any case, I think just finishing the race in the top 10 will get him ahead of Marley Joff not being here tonight with that power outage. Piscucci still running out in 6th position, seeing what they can do to hold off with Grabowski up in front.
Yep, and we'll see what that of Piscucci can do as this race goes on. David Toff has done exactly what he needed to do in this race today, and has been absolutely brilliant. There he is for the Sachet Esports team. It's been absolutely brilliant today as David Toth. We might get to see him finally crowned as champion here in what has been a pretty quiet race. So less stewardship will be needed to be taken, like Tristan just said, in this race. And we'll see what Toth can do for the remainder of it. 3.9 seconds clear of Rodrigo Meats. Matisse, 3 laps down, just hasn't been at the race tonight. As we've seen him off track a couple of times. We saw he had the broken damage earlier on. He's giving Nicholas Laubish a little bit of a flash there. Not sure why, but Matisse has just struggled tonight. As here goes Piscucci looking to the outside line. Grabowski defends that inside, coming into this tricky middle sector chicane almost, and Grabowski does exactly what he needs to do, stays ahead, and now it really tightens up. And this is where Piscucci's just got to be patient here. Through these next couple of corners, you get a good run out of here, and this could allow you to maybe get a bit of slingshot, a bit of slipstream, sorry, down the straight before you get to the next braking zone, but not close enough to have a look. So Piscucci will sit once again behind Denis Grabowski for the time being. 14.5 minutes left on the clock, though, here at St. Petersburg for the final race of the Pro season and of Foxxtecca for Season 3. We'll hopefully be back with Season 4 in a couple of weeks and maybe a month or two's time on the lead up towards Christmas. We'll get an early present and get that next season underway. We will hopefully see some fantastic circuits, maybe a few rule changes, some new cars potentially out there as well, bringing back some different cars. Well, let's wait and see what will happen for Season 4 going further forward. Here is Grabowski, looked a little wiggly there as he just clipped the curb a moment, but carries on his way. Roman Piscucci, though, just cannot find a way past, can't get close enough to get that run past that of Denis Grabowski, who in the Ferrari is probably driving his best race this season. I don't remember seeing him this high up this season, so good race for Denis Grabowski here.
Yeah, he's definitely finding some confidence around St. Petersburg and putting on quite a bit of a show here up in the top 5. And like you say, I think this might be his best result yet if he can keep this. So good job there coming from Grabowski. Man, you just scared me. I realized that Christmas is coming up way too quick. I mean, August is almost over, and then we head to September. You're like, oh, a month or two's time and it's Christmas. I'm like, we're not that point of the year yet. And then I checked, I'm like, oh, we are at that point of the year. It is literally on the build up towards the end side of this year, and that's a little bit scary if you have to ask me how quick time has flown. I guess time flies when you're having fun watching the league by Foxxtecca every Wednesday night for the Europeans, every Tuesday night for the or every Wednesday morning, I should say, rather, and every Tuesday night for the Americas. So Elisori saying, have work tomorrow, but just don't know I'm standing up to defend my claims. Dude, even I have work tomorrow. I have to be up at 7 a.m. tomorrow and then in the car at 7:30 to drive to work. So that's the reality, but you know, it's worth it. It's worth it being here for the league by Foxxtecca. It's a great league, and that's what we hope to see Season 4 making such a swift return. Hopefully it doesn't go into a bit of a standstill for quite a while. I know there was a bit of a standstill between Season 1 and 2 as there was a lot of rule changes, and obviously the change from the fixed McLaren 720S to being a freestanding league in terms of choice in the GT3. So there was quite a bit of a gap between those two. But hopefully for Season 3 to Season 4, we will maybe see, like Matthew says, maximum 1 month to a month and a half before we get started again with Season 4. Hopefully before the end of the year, that would be good. Piscucci just hits the inside of the wall there. That's not going to be good for his long term. In any case, though, only 12 minutes left to go of this race. Not much time left on the board here for any of these drivers.
I don't know what Lucy is on about in the chat. It's 9:30 in Florida. And that's Ramsey's brother, Wellington. So it's 9:30 in Florida. So I don't know what he's on about there. About he needs to get to bed. He's staying up because he's got work tomorrow. 9:30 is nothing. I'm not reading that comment, Wellington. I'm not promoting that here because I'm not that kind of guy. But yeah, he will be on commentary with me there tomorrow night. So join us for that one. Be an interesting night. Donington Park. Yeah, Donington Park. I get to commentate for the next 2 nights. Love that. Get on. Brilliant. Can't wait for that. But we've got this at St. Petersburg first. Roman Piscucci still all over the back of Denis Grabowski at the moment. I say I'm not promoting that. I've promoted Foxxtecca on that channel all season for the last 8 weeks. It's been absolutely crazy. So, yeah, it's been brilliant. Chris owes me a pay rise, I think, for that. Me and you, Tristan. I say that. There's that chance we could be in America early next year where we'll be able to put face-to-face, not over the webcams on our computers, but face-to-face potentially in America for some events. So a lot to come from Foxxtecca towards the end of this year and the beginning of next year. Could be a really, really interesting thing to keep your eyes on, what is coming your way from the league by Foxxtecca. And there you go. If any of you American viewers, followers, drivers are around near where we're potentially going to be, no details have been confirmed yet. So if it does happen and we are out there and you guys are close by, come and say hello. Come and meet me and Tristan. We'll put name to the face. You'll be able to tell us if we jinxed you in the commentary box, if we praised you well enough in the commentary box. So yeah, so should be good. Should be good. Foxxtecca's got a lot in the pipeline that we know at the moment, Tristan. It's got an exciting future so far.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, loads of branches that they've also picked out towards, and good to see that the company as a whole is just picking at everything automotive. I mean, obviously having their own NASCAR team as well in there with Destiny. If you've been watching all the mid break between the AMs and the pros over the past couple of rounds, you would have been seeing that podcast and that video series that's been going on. So super cool on that side. And like myself and Matthew say, maybe a bit of an opportunity to be there next year, although the sooner we know the better, because your boy got to get a visa sorted before then. And this country ain't exactly very friendly with American visas in terms of time. It takes a good wad of time to get one of those things here. So the better late than never. But in any case, back to the racing, as there's only 10 minutes left to go in this race. Official tribute saying, let's go RaceForge. And finally, a little bit of support being shown to our teams. Yeah, the RaceForge team have been going on strong throughout the pack here. Currently, their leading driver, I believe, is Elon Johnson in 7th position. He leads out strong, trying to catch up towards Pascucci. There you see him there, trying to catch up there. And Pascucci obviously having a bit of that bump and wiggle earlier on. He's still not able to get ahead of Grabowski. Grabowski has been an absolute defend machine over the past couple of laps here. He has maintained 5th for the longest time so far, and it does not look like he wants to give it up here, because the top 5 finish is all he could hope for. But Pascucci is starting to get very aggressive on the rear side here. So it's going to be a bit of a difficult one here for Grabowski to defend. I'm hoping, though, that he can to keep Pascucci behind. And that will be a good finish there for himself in this event. So keep your eyes peeled for how that turns out. Tyler Carr, Yoneshev, and Mehdi Nareen also all in the background there. They're all just trying to get to the end of the race now. With only 8 minutes left to go, and then this circuit, that's roughly about 7 to 8 laps, depending on when our race leader comes across. It's a very short lap here around St. Petersburg, as we've got a replay here. This is with Zohair Ahmad. Looks to be a bit of contact possibly somewhere. This is heading into the sharp right-hander with the tire barricade on the left-hand side. Did he possibly run? Oh, he just completely missed his braking zone and went off into the runoff and had to pop a quick reverse. So unfortunately for Zohair Ahmad, he does lose a little bit of time, but fortunately, no damage on that Mustang.
Yep, fortunately, no damage on that Mustang for him. Just went straight on into the runoff area, and I'll just quickly pop that into reverse and come back to get onto the circuit. Roman Pascucci here is catching Grabowski. He's really close to Grabowski to try and make a move in all the wrong places. He's getting right onto the back of him at the tightest part of this circuit, where he's not able to make a move. So that seems to be where he's gaining all the time and all the momentum, but just can't carry that momentum onto the stretch of straightaway before being able to make the move into the left-hander. So just struggling a little bit to find the opportunity to make the move for Denis Grabowski here. On Denis Grabowski here, should I say. Kevin Rold is gaining on the back of Russell Soto. This is Pascucci once again just trying to close in a little bit more down into turn number 1. Can't do so there. And will once again try to carry on his way in this race, coming further forward towards the middle sector. There you go. So 6.5 minutes remain in this race then here at St. Petersburg to round out what has been another cracking season of the league by Foxxtecca. This is going to be an interesting fight to see between these two at the very end of this race. Will Pascucci try and go for that P5? Or will he just patiently sit behind and see if Denis Grabowski does make a mistake in this one?
Yeah, it's going to be the all telling it with Grabowski up ahead. And seeing if he can hold off from Pascucci in this race. 4 tenths to go in the battle between these two, and only 4 minutes or 6 minutes total between the total waddle them to the end of this race. And David Toth completely uncontested this entire race. 7.5 seconds up the board. There you see the two RaceForge drivers there behind of Tyler Carr and Elon Johnson in 7th and 8th, busy trailing on. But this is your primary battle, in fact, your only battle out on the grid that is left for the time being before we head to the checkered flag line. And it is Grabowski versus Roman Pascucci. And Grabowski is doing an absolutely phenomenal job at keeping the defense up against the likes of Roman Pascucci. The pink Mustang has been putting endless pressure here on the backside of on the Ferrari, and just kept his cool and his calm and his collective here. Coming towards the end of this race, we do head to the 55-minute marker. 5 minutes left to go. And so Grabowski is closing in on those last few moments of defense. He just needs to hold on for a bit longer. You can see that Pascucci keeps looking up on the inside to look for a dive, realizes that he's just too far away to make it solidified, and then has to tuck back in. So he gets close enough. Then Grabowski extends at the perfect moments where it avoids Pascucci from making any kind of dive, and he has to stay behind. And that has been the result for the past, I don't know how many laps these two have been behind each other. It's been almost, I'd say, a good 15, 10 laps now that these two have been going on at it. So Grabowski has just maintained the defensive profile here, not allowing any kind of defensive breach from Pascucci, and doing a great job at it as well. 55 minutes into this race, almost 56 now, and this is where we are slowly closing on that white flag territory. The final lap being waved will be coming up shortly with this 1 minute and 11 second lap times out on the board. 1 minute 10, I've got to say, actually, from David Toth. So he is lapping incredibly quick. In fact, the only driver still doing 110s. His last was a 110.7. The last driver behind him, Rodrigo Meets, a 111.1. So you can see the timings down the right-hand side of each of the drivers' names. The only driver out on the grid still setting 110. So very, very quick out there indeed from David Toth. None of the other drivers seem to be within a potential. And there you can see the new lap being set there from Rodrigo Meets. It's a 111.1. So basically a 5 tenths faster every single lap, David Toth to Rodrigo Meets. And oh, we got someone slow up on the inside line there. Who is that? That looks like Rodrigo Matisse again. Looks like he's either slowing down to let other drivers go past, or he is just not having a good race. He's getting heavy flashed by one of the Race Forge guys as he's in the way, and he will now move out the way that he has to try and fight out in the background there. That was Elon Johnson, who now gets up ahead and will continue pushing on throughout the rest of the circuit. Grabowski still holding 5th position, has not let go from Pascucci. And as we've only got 3 minutes left to go here, there is not a lot left to play for. What can Grabowski do to keep the defense from Pascucci, as this is the only fight really out on the board? Kevin Rold is catching up to Russell Soto. Yeah, could potentially fall into play for the battle for 11th position, but it's all eyes on Grabowski, the only Ferrari driver out on the board. Can he keep himself in the top 5, or will he be dethroned by Pascucci?
Yeah, going to be interesting to see what Pascucci can do with the final 2.5 minutes of this race, but it's just not having any luck. Grabowski not putting a wheel wrong at the moment, is he? He's driving exactly how he needs to so far. We've only lost that one driver of Jones early on in this race. Matisse, even though he's 3 laps down, he's still going out there. So great to see from Matisse out there at the moment, continuing on to score some points at the very end. But Roman Pascucci, 4 tenths of a second off the back of Denis Grabowski. You can see the gap there. Has kind of stayed like this for the majority of the last 10 minutes. But I say Grabowski doesn't put a wheel wrong, possibly put the curse on him as he just clatters into the wall. And Denis Grabowski now just gave the wheel a little wiggle. That'll just be to see if the car feels okay and looks okay coming through that section of corners. So Denis Grabowski may have got away with one there. Just scrapes the wall again. You saw the sparks flying off the rear of the car. So for Denis Grabowski, just has to be a little bit more careful now, because where is Toth on the circuit? Just started another lap, so he's on the penultimate lap of this race. Grabowski's got 1.5 or 2.5, should I say, to go, and is doing a good job at the moment to fend off from Pascucci, but doesn't need any more heart-in-mouth moments like that one.
Yeah, bit of a struggle there coming from Grabowski. Let's hope he can keep it out of the wall for those final moments, because it is getting very close with Pascucci behind. And seeing how they can hold on for these final moments. David Toth is on the penultimate lap, so not white flag, the lap before white flag. David Toth should still be able to start one more lap in this race before he comes to a closure. Yeah, 50 laps completed. Oh, there's contact from Grabowski. And how on earth he's been able to save that, I do not know. But he is going to lose the position to Pascucci. He's made an error through the first sector, and it's actually opened the door here for Elon Johnson from absolute dominance of holding the top 5 for Grabowski. One small error has allowed Pascucci to go through, but also for Elon Johnson and Tyler Carter now joining on this battle. This is a bit of a replay. Was there wall contact, or did he just clip the curb wrong? And looks like he did make a little bit of inside wall contact there. He was then able to catch it And then on the exit onto the straight, he just loses it again. So he loses all his momentum on the back straight here. And that's where we saw Roman Pascucci getting all the way up ahead, and that huge launch on the outside from Elon Johnson to catch up. Very unfortunate there for Dennis Grabowski, just not being able to cope with the pressure being provided by the rest of the drivers. David Toth would be on his final lap now. We are officially over the session limit. And so David Toth will be coming around ever so shortly to round it up for the final time here for season number 4, apologies, round number 8. Season number 3, oh my goodness, it's late.
It's late, Tristan. We can be forgiven for our mistakes. It is late in the evening, but yeah, David Toth, dominant, likes to flag victory here in this one, has been absolutely perfect, not put a wheel wrong, not put a foot wrong in this race. One more corner to go before we can crown David Toth as the season number 3 champion. He comes round now. The car number 8, the Seshe Esports team, was on top in season 1. They're back on top in season number 2. David Toth wins at St. Petersburg and wins for season 3 of the league by Foxxtecca. Congratulations to him. Rodrigo Meets is going to cross the line for a well-deserved second place. Ahead then of that of Aidan Young in 3rd. Zoe Ahmed finishes down in 13th. Laubish finishes in P4. Roman Pascucci somehow has got hold of that P5. Grabowski, though, is under pressure from Johnson right at the very end of this race, and Tyler Carr is within a second as well. So there's still battles raging on here further down the field between them lot for P6. Grabowski crosses the line though and keeps hold of it from Johnson from Carr. Neshev P8. Meyer Dienarine will take P10, while Holzband 14th, Valero 15th, Matisse 16th place. We just await for Dienarine, Soto and Kevin Rold to come across the line. There goes Dienarine. Russell Soto will be coming through in a few moments. A few donuts out there from Aidan Young, who was with us for the last few races of the season. Russell Soto finishes the race down in 11th spot. See a few of the cars just coming through the corners there on their cool down lap, getting it back to the pits while we just await for Kevin Rold to come through. Let's see, take a look though. We do have our race winner in the AMS sat waiting for an interview, so we'll drag them in just a moment. There's the Super Lap team there, all posing for a nice picture there, look, which Amet's going to show you on the stream. And there's a 4th one about to join, so we've got the flock of Falcons all parked in formation. There they are, nicely done. And great camera work from Amet there to pick them all up and get them all in formation. But that then is the end of season 3. What a season it has been. We'll get the final classifications before heading over to the interviews in just a few moments' time.
Yeah, what a great race, and great little bit of action there that we had for this season, and I cannot believe it's over. It's been such an amazing season so far. And what a good roundup there for the pros. There you have the race results. David Toth, Rodrigo Meets, Aidan Young, Nicholas Laubish to 4th, and Roman Pascucci in 5th. It's Dennis Grabowski, Elon Johnson, Tyler Carr, Yoneshev, Meyer Dienarine, Russell Soto to Kevin Rold, Zoe Ahmed, Eric Halsband and Gal Valero down 15th. Russolini, Matisse, and Gabriel Jones, the only driver who did not finish today's race, down in 17th. So impressive from the pros, only having 1 DNF in this race. So great stuff on the board from them. But that is officially it for your pro race and your final race. There's your championship standings. It is David Toth who will indeed take the win here for the championship standings. Roman Pascucci will get that boot up to 2nd. Gail Valero, not too sure if he's going to move up to 3rd with the points difference and his slightly not too impressive result that he won't be too happy with. Rodrigo Meets to Nicholas Laubish, Neshev, Tyler Carr, Kevin Rold, Elon Johnson, Ivalo Boyshev, Eric Halsband, Gabriel Ivanov, Ty Dunnett, Rafael DeSantis, Rosalini Matisse, Dennis Grabowski, Andrea Mascalino down 18th position. And then from 19th down for the championship standings, you can just view them here on your screen for the rest of the drivers who stacked up for the pros. And man, what a great bit of racing. You see Meyer Dienarine down 22nd. Gabriel Jones is there. There's Aidan Young down 24th after joining us only after a couple of rounds. And then your few drivers who did not get points on the board. And that's it, though, for your champ standings for the League by Foxxtecca season number 3. We do have 2 people ready for interviews. And Matt, I'm going to drag Andrew Herschel up for you to have a quick chat with.
No problem then. Andrew Herschel, welcome into the commentary box. You're live on the League by Foxxtecca. First of all, commiserations. It may seem on the championship, just Caden just did enough at the very end, but obviously kind of got to wait for your championship results to fully come in due to Caden potentially receiving a penalty. So they're all provisional at the minute. But back-to-back race winner. Talk us through it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. VIR was obviously a kind of getaway race. This race was definitely a much different situation. I definitely have to give some props to Declan. I'm pretty sure I'm double his age, so the fact that he was holding on to me like that, and towards the beginning, he really made me start to push. I was trying to be very self-preserved and just trying to maintain a lead, and then he started pushing really hard, and we're not even going to talk about that Corvette spinning, too. Jeez, that was an incident.
Well, I wanted to ask you about that one, to be fair, because somehow you managed to avoid him and not make contact. I don't know how, because I'd have run out of talent and probably spun into the wall. But that was impressive. It did put you on the back foot behind Irene, but just talk us through that moment from your perspective.
Yeah, so I mean, the track is so blind. There was multiple moments that I had gone into corners and all of a sudden I'm getting a yellow flag from a car spun or someone on the side, just me trying to avoid him. At that moment right there, I'm actually kind of thankful that I had the gap to Declan because he saw the opportunity with the spin. He saw where the gap opened up because I had hit the brakes so hard that he was able to just kind of pass right through me and get past. And I was watching the live stream back. I know you guys had mentioned he came in 2 laps then before I did and was trying to see if he can get the undercut. I believe we both took tires. I believe I just had a better... so I took lefts, and I think that's the only thing he took as well. I think Jimenez behind took all 4, but me and Declan, I believe, just took lefts. And then he was catching me when I came back out because he had the 2-lap warmer tires than I did, and that... I was very fortunate that tires came up when they did. Most tracks, it only takes about 3 or 4 laps. This one took about 6 or 7 to do it. And yes, I did make a 6-7 joke.
Oh, jeez. I thought we got away with it at the very end of the season, but there we go, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, will you be returning for season 4 when it comes around? Because we'd love to see you back out there.
Yeah, I hope so. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to be a little bit too high in the I rating. I was just at the cusp to make AM this season. I did race pro last season on a just kind of a request, and so I jumped back down to AM. I was very much not doing well in pro last season, and then I definitely jumped over the I rating throughout this season. So you'll probably see me mid to back of the pack in pro next season.
It'd be great to have you back next season for sure. Anybody you'd like to thank at the end?
So I would like to thank, of course, always you guys. I loved the camera controls this race. That was a lot of fun to watch the replays back as well. The yeses and nos with the camera. I'd like to, it's hard for me to thank any particular Thays driver this race. Every single driver had helped me in one way, shape, or form. Even some of the drivers that weren't competing in Foxxtecca had done laps with me outside of, in practice and stuff like that. So I need to thank all of them. I need to thank my family for being supportive. I do want to also just give a shout out to Caden for taking the win there at the very end. I'm pretty sure with a 38-second gap, I think he took the win.
Yeah, indeed. Well, congratulations, Andrew, and we'll see you next season.
Thank you. See you guys.
Tristan, who would you like to speak to? We've got Aiden Young from the pros, we've got Lewis Holloway, we've got Ramsey Jimenez.
Yeah, I'm going to actually bring in Aiden Young because I don't think we've had a chat with him before this season. Aiden Young, welcome into the box. You are live here at the league by Foxxtecca. And I mean, talk us through that final closing round here at St. Pete. How did the car feel? And I mean, how did the opposition feel?
I mean, I love street circuits. The car didn't feel too bad. It got a little bit understeery at the end. I think me and Rodrigo didn't take tires, but I'm pretty sure I saw Toth take them. So a little bit of a disadvantage there. I think I had more cooked rears than what Rodrigo did because at the end of the race, I couldn't get the power down. I could get the car turned in, but when I would try to get to the gas, if I even just tried to remotely ramp up the throttle to get off the corner, the car would just snap on me. So I was just trying to keep the car underneath me and get it to the finish.
I mean, what was the call with you joining in midway of the season for the WSR team? Was it a team call to just maybe provide a bit of assistance to Joff's championship, or did you just jump in because you felt like it?
So I actually only missed the first 5 rounds of the series was because I was racing in real life at the Cookout Summer Shootout in a legend car at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So it collided with the sim because unfortunately with the Cookout Summer Shootout, you qualify at 5 and then you race at 7:30. So it didn't work out for the first 5 rounds, but when I saw Marley was leading the championship, I was like, well, maybe I could try and get in and play a little bit of a team game while still trying to earn myself a little bit of money by finishing on the podium a few times.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I mean, you've at least made that partially successful with a good podium finish here tonight. Is anybody you'd like to thank or mention that before you head out the box?
Yeah, I'd like to thank WSR Esports, all the guys on the team, all my teammates, Marley as well. Fortunately, he couldn't make this round. His fuse box was blown, so he couldn't do anything. He had no power. So I feel for him. It's tough to lose a championship that way, but I'd like to thank all our partners, Abruzzi, Adidas Racing, MB Cinematography, Knight Rider Designs, Alessandro Romanelli Media, and Foxxtecca for putting on this series, and then as well as my personal sponsor, Shinka Detailing, Mooresville, North Carolina, Tribute Colognes, and this is going to sound a little weird, but Race4G Sports.
Incredible stuff. Well, thank you so much for joining us this season of Foxxtecca. We hope to see you featuring a little bit more in season number 4.
Pulled Ramsey Jimenez in for a quick chat. We've got Lewis Holloway as well, so we'll get Lewis and Ramsey in very, very quickly. Ramsey, back-to-back podiums. Sadly, not the race win that you'd have possibly been looking for at the end of the season, but a great first season here at the League by Foxxtecca.
Yeah, it's amazing to kind of round off the season this way to get podiums back to back. It's very special to kind of come in here after a low point in, I'd say, Road America. Both races were pretty much awful for me in a way, but just to come back and have all the support from Lab Legends and everybody, even from the Simplay Racing side as well. I gotta give a shout out to them for helping me out through this remainder of the season. The season, especially at Sebring, it was a big help, and at VIR. I wish I could have done an interview that night, but my internet decided to have other ideas. And just to round off the season this way, it was kind of just parted ways at the very beginning of the race. Andre and Evan Davis both had just both of them spun around, and I came on through, and we just never looked back. Just tried to focus on it. I think we could have been up there fighting even for the lead, but I took tires in the end. But I was also hunting down Declan at the end, which was pretty fun, but a little too late in the end to improve. So that's a little unfortunate, but an amazing season, and I'm glad that I was able to do this, and thank you to the commentators. Going back and we'll look at the commentary throughout the races of the AM has been fantastic, and thank you to the producers who have made this possible for you guys. Thank you guys.
Anybody you'd like to thank at the end of this one?
Gotta say thank you to Lab Legends Motorsport, the team I'm a part of, for really helping out as well. Simplay Motorsport, great group of guys, and I'm glad that they were able to sponsor me for this season. Design Manchester as well, Simpson, Sim Racing, Go Setups, and Gazgo Designs for all the fantastic liveries he's done this season. So make sure you go check him out.
Indeed. Well, Ramsey, congratulations. Enjoy that one, and we'll hopefully see you back for season 4.
Hopefully, I will. I'll try.
Indeed. Tristan, did we want to get Lewis in for a very quick word?
Yeah, we can quickly bring Lewis in to have a quick chat. Lewis, apologies to cut it short, but welcome into the box here at the League by Foxxtecca, and just quickly talk us through a quick rundown of how that final race of the season went.
Man, what a final race. I've been doing a lot of street tracks lately, so it kind of made it a walk in the park, but that first lap was damage limitation, just avoid, survive, and survive. I did go from P19 to P11 in the first lap. So it was really one of those races, just survival was the main thing, and just do not take damage, whatever the cost.
Yeah, absolutely. That is the key fundamental of it. Will we see you again for season number 4?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the final run that I had, this is probably my best season that I've had towards the last couple of races there with the league this year. So absolutely looking forward to season 4.
Excellent stuff. And then finally, before you head out, is anybody you'd like to thank or mention tonight?
As always, want to thank you guys, want to thank Foxxtecca, want to thank Apex Racing, and shout out to my home team, Canberra and Castor, for always supporting, helping me get faster, and providing me space to get better as a racer.
Incredible stuff. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you in the new season.
Thank you. Cheers.
So that then is season 3 wrapped up and in the bag. Congratulations to David Toff and potentially Caden Parks Miller for being crowned the champions of season number 3. Tristan, it has been an absolute pleasure and an honour as always, but sadly, Foxxtecca has come to an end and we have to wait for season 4 to start.
Yeah, let's hope the season 4 doesn't take too long and we get to see it coming very, very soon. Hopefully still in the year of 2026. It's been an absolutely phenomenal time around all of these circuits across the past 8 rounds. Season 3 has been a blast and definitely a lesson to learn for most of our drivers. Season 4 is only onwards and upwards.
It is indeed. So from me, Tristan, Jim Cunningham, who we wish sending our best wishes to, and Ahmet Ohm for driving and producing this season. It's been a big thank you to Chris Harris once again and all of the Apex Racing guys for putting on this fantastic league. Thank you to all our partners and sponsors who support us here on the League by Foxxtecca. Season 4 awaits. Hopefully it will start at the back end of 2026 to round out what should be the end of a fantastic year. But from me, Tristan, Ahmet, and everybody else involved, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.